Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from Sherwood Forest in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, Hour 1 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I am your lovable, huggable, mid-morning chat host, Eric Von Haessler, surrounded by the Doctrinaires, Tim Andrews, Autumn Fisher, and, of course, Jared Yamamoto.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. I got to say, you got to keep me in a good mood today, because I think this could go either way. I certainly am in a mood. Every story I'm hearing this morning, like, I don't know if you can do 3 hours. This last one I just heard, I looked it up. The common cold, this story, they could have a cure for the common cold. Am I the only one who's realized this? There's no such thing as the common cold. A cold. What is a cold?
Oh, you got a runny nose.
Oh, you got a runny nose.
Sore throat.
Okay, you got a sore throat.
Yeah, I got a cold.
Wait, did you get it from the rain? Oh, don't go out in the rain, you'll get a cold. Whoever got a cold because they were out in the rain who wasn't on a sitcom? Like, is the virus in the raindrops as they're hitting your head?
I never got that, but I left the window open last night.
Oh, yeah, and I bet you got a cold.
I did.
Yeah.
The virus snuck into the screen.
Virus goes all the way through your neighborhood. Goes in. I've known this for years in my heart of hearts. There's no such thing as a common cold. You get something, and there's a handful of things, right, that just get lumped into this idea of the common cold. And the reason is because doctors know, just sit tight for 7 days, it'll go away. So nobody pays much attention to this family of things that happens. You're being irritated in some way. And so there's some inflammation and there's some mucus. But
Scientists get all jacked up.
Yeah, the idea that there's going to, if you just take care of this one protein, we'll have no more coming. And it's cost America $40 billion a year. Does it? So if we could fix this one protein, you're telling me we're going to automatically the next year inject $40 billion back into the economy.
And if they cure it, how are people going to call out of work?
Well, that's true. I got a cold. I got a thing. No, you'd have to be specific. I got a sore throat.
I have
my runny nose. Really?
Runny nose, yes.
Yeah, really? You can't come into work, you got a runny nose? You're fired. How about that?
I'm tired.
What's it like to call out sick? I've never called out sick here before.
He's never. Jared Yamamoto.
Never?
Never at WSB.
Never once called. I say called
at WSB.
In. You say called out sick. I say called in sick. I guess that's a cultural thing. I don't know.
It is, because up north called in, down here called out.
I cannot get into his last name or his background, or Lauren Michaels will fire me. I am in just a crazy mood, and I think maybe it's because it's dawned on me that there's only a few days left, and my hot girl summer is almost over. I can't believe it. Let's do this.
Headlines for Tuesday, September 17th.
Because this girl has had a hot time this summer. Let me tell you. The stories that I could tell. The things that have happened in Piedmont Park. But it's almost over, and I just have to accept it. I think it's got me in a mood.
You can put them in your book.
Speaking of book, I like this first story. I heard this on the way in. I said, Jared, we have to cover this story first, because this is pressing.
Yes, a Milton student is in trouble for bringing a magical death notebook to school.
All right, now, so this is, when you say magical death notebook, Hopewell Middle has alerted the parents that Death Note, it's based on an anime series. So it's supposed to be a magic. So obviously this is a product that you buy that goes with liking this series. I'm assuming he bought it, or the parents bought it, or maybe he just made his own version. Is it him or her? I don't know. I take it that the student either made their own or they actually bought a promotional product from this anime school. Now, in the anime series, it's a magical notebook, and you put a name in there, and the notebook will kill anybody. Anybody's name gets put in the notebook, and you get killed. And they found this disturbing at school. The school stresses there were no specific threats in the book, so no names. and it's handling the matter according to the student code of conduct. Reason I wanted to start this show with this story is this audio that I heard. Is this a parent?
This is a parent.
A concerned parent who says one thing that's, I guess both are true, but the first one, I don't know, let's just listen.
Nobody should have that kind of power, but it is a cartoon.
Okay, it is a cartoon. I don't know who that lady is, but I would like to reassure her, no one has that power.
Be nice, though.
You have some names you want to put in there?
If everybody had a notebook in which they could write a name, and I'm not saying death, I'm just saying like you have a bad headache.
Yeah, a common cold.
Common cold, you can't figure it out. Look, I got people I love in that book, like number 1, Jerome Powell, the Fed chair. What a complete moron, hates America.
Yeah, you hired him, didn't you?
Got another one, AOC.
Excuse me, you hired him, right?
Yeah, they told me. Okay. Another one, AOC.
Yeah.
The name's too long.
Yeah.
I say Cortez.
You just want a common cold. You want a notebook where you put the name in and the person kind of gets the flu.
Maybe a flu, comical, definitely a runny nose.
Nobody should have that kind of power.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to reiterate here. No one has that kind of power. No one ever will have that power. And we're not in danger that anyone will someday soon have the power to put a name in a notebook and the notebook automatically kills somebody. I just want to say to all parents in Milton, especially Hopewell Middle, I don't know if the word has gotten to you yet, but I agree with her. What does she say again? That
nobody should have that kind of power.
Nobody should have that kind of power, and aren't we lucky? No one actually does. Go to school. Do your homework, kids. Drink your milk. All right,
I'm in the book.
Next, it's in the book?
But I'm in the book.
Yeah, there was nobody in the book. They said there were no threats,
Invisible
right?
ink.
Oh, possibly.
Oh.
With a notebook.
It makes a little Harry Potter in there.
Yeah, but it doesn't kill them then. It just makes them invisible.
Okay.
So, which can be fun if you're a kid. All right.
This next headline comes from Politico. Trump's California fundraisers are drenched in cash and secrecy.
Oh, this is great today. You know what's going on today in California? When Trump goes to California, things go crazy with the protesters. Remember when he was running for president, people were punched in the face. And then I had forgotten about this until reminded by this story. When Trump had to get out of his car and jump over a median in the middle of the highway to get to where he was speaking. So they know the protesters are trying to do something really big, a la Portland or Seattle WTO protest. So some people have paid up to $100,000 a seat to be a part of this fundraiser. But if you've paid that money today, it's going to go down in a few hours, you don't know where the fundraiser is. So you go to a shuttle bus, and the shuttle bus takes you to where the fundraiser is. And so you got a cat and mouse going on in the Bay Area in California this morning where the protesters are desperately looking for clues, like going anywhere in the valley where CEOs or rich people have held Republican fundraisers in the past. They're looking for, catering trucks, staging equipment, anything they can find to get a clue. And so far, they haven't been able to find out. I would imagine it's going to end up being at some kind of private resort. I doubt this is all going to end up in some cul-de-sac somewhere, some neighborhood, But there's a funny cat and mouse.
We're going to Bohemian Grove.
Now, it seems to me...
No, that's where we're going. They have a big owl statue there, and nobody can get in.
It seems to me that you can only keep this secret for so long. So by the time you get there and it starts, I would think people would know.
They would know, and there'd be protesters and media there immediately.
Yeah, but what they're trying to avoid is Trump fans and Trump protesters waiting for hours for Trump, because that's when the trouble gets going between the two.
Because people line up for Trump rallies. I mean, hours and hours.
Yeah,
ahead
well,
of
this
time.
wouldn't be a rally. This is a fundraiser. But I mean, people may. What will happen is Trump supporters, hearing that protesters will be there, the supporters may show up to support the president, and then you've got hours and hours of people with idle hands on the streets waiting for the Trump fundraiser, and that's where trouble has happened in the past. So it's clever what they're doing, but I love the cat and mouse. Right now there are Democrat protesters, in touch with each other.
I think they're going to be down at the stadium.
Yeah.
You know what street they're going to be on? Over.
We see movement.
Over.
we see movement at Peter Thiel's house. So that'll be hilarious because you know what? People who support Trump shouldn't be allowed to support Trump. I think that's where the state of California comes down.
They shouldn't, bro.
Yeah. Trump is so bad that you have the right to take the right away from somebody who would, and you know you're right.
I know I'm right because I'm on the right side of history,
That's
bro.
right.
And,
How do you know you're on the right side of history? Because you'll be dead once history is written. So
no, we are the
how you
ones
have
that make history now, and we're writing our own history. In case you were,
but some people thought they were on the right side of history in the past, and things turned on them. You realize that?
You know, if you're on the right side of history, bro, you know what's going on, and I know what's going on, and we got to stop Trump. So if we can do anything to stop him, he's going to lose California anyway. So what's the point? But anyway, what I'm saying is, these people need to, we need to know. So if it's like somebody owns a store or something that I go to and they support Trump, I just don't go to the store anymore.
So you get a boycott?
Yeah, I'll boycott a store.
Do you eat anymore? Do Democrats, are they able to eat or buy things anywhere?
I grow my own food, but it was a problem because I bought burpee seeds and then they found out they donated to Republicans. I yanked all the plants
you
out.
pulled them all out there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Threw them on the streets.
Yeah.
No,
I
I gave them to a homeless guy to eat. He didn't want them.
There's stories out there about institutions that are realizing that they accepted money from Jeffrey Epstein. I think Harvard accepted millions, and I saw another school, maybe Colorado, accepted. And this is like a big pressure on this. Like who cares? If somebody can prove that a dollar bill in my back pocket was once held by Adolf Hitler, should I burn that dollar bill?
Absolutely.
Money is fungible.
Dude, you should.
Money is, who cares? Jeffrey Epstein wasn't making money off of his perversions that I know of, so you don't have to, the money didn't come from sex slavery. The money, it's an absurdity, this idea that, oh no, that was once in his bank account, so you now have to give it back. What? It doesn't make any sense.
And who are you going to give it back to?
Well, of course, not to actual victims, to programs set up by those who speak for the victims, so they can get that money and run vote Democrat drives under the radar. That's what they need to do.
Yeah.
So,
Now, even though Trump is having to play this game in California today, he got a pretty warm welcome when he was in New Mexico last night.
well, why wouldn't he? He's in front of supporters.
Well, New Mexico was a blue state last time around, and he's trying to flip it.
But I mean, every blue state has Republicans. I mean, even California has Republicans. So it doesn't
Too
surprise
many,
me.
if you ask me.
I think I know it's too much for you, right? You only have control of all the levers of power, but just the fact that some Republicans actually remain
They
still
need to
annoy
go,
you.
man. They get Colorado or wherever.
Colorado likes them either.
And so he had
New Mexico, I think the idea here is if you go to New Mexico, you're actually behind the president. I hate this whole thing where behind speakers, they always have crowds behind them. Looking like a Girl Scout cookie box. There's an Asian guy, and there's a black fella, and there's white people. And there's
Where's my Asian guy? Love him. Love that Asian
I find
fella.
it ought to be just ridiculous. But if you're in New Mexico, Republicans quite often in New Mexico are Hispanic. So it gives you at least that picture on the screen of Hispanic support.
And he praised his Hispanic supporters while he was there. It's kind of a strange moment that happened.
Yeah, you think, a strange moment at a Trump rally, you say.
How about that?
Now, that is news.
Nobody loves the Hispanics more. What do you like more, the country or the Hispanics?
What?
He says the country, I don't know. I may have to go for the Hispanics, to be honest with you. We got a lot of Hispanics. We love our Hispanics. Get out and vote.
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote. I said,
I don't understand the
somebody
question.
theoretically, who do you like better, Trump? Hispanics or the country? I said, Hispanics.
So you love Hispanics more than the country.
I do. I love all of them, especially the ones out in the
And by
crowd.
the way, does it can't be an A-B choice? I mean, can't you just love both?
Well, I was being hypothetical.
So if you were forced to choose between your country and Hispanics,
I would take Hispanics because then I could just sneak right back in.
Nobody loves the Hispanics more. What do you like more, the country or the Hispanics?
stop right there. I just don't even understand the question. That is a question I just don't understand.
So he was proposing a hypothetical before that.
I know, but the hypothetical is silly.
I know.
It's not. A hypothetical is supposed to be something that maybe you could imagine.
What do you like better, Star Wars or Rain? I'm gonna go with Rain.
You know, the crops. I love Star Wars.
I mean, I like the
Right?
movies, the Wookiees and all that, but I mean, hey, Ray.
Let's hear it one more time.
Nobody loves the Hispanics more. What do you like more, the country or the Hispanics? He says the country, I don't know. I may have to go for the Hispanics, to be honest with you. We got a lot of Hispanics. We love our Hispanics. Get out and vote.
Wow.
Get out and vote.
We love them all.
Get out and vote.
Even the ones I don't like, I
For a
love.
guy who's never had a drink, every once in a while, hey, get out and vote.
Well, you know, you get a little punch drunk on the road.
Yeah, little caffeine buzz, huh?
No.
Is there caffeine in Diet Coke? There is. Yeah, you get a little caffeine kick.
But of course, he played the hits too, which I've got more audio from the
I don't want to
rally.
hear the boring stuff. I just want to hear the fun stuff. I don't.
Nobody loves the Hispanics more. What do you like more, the country or the Hispanics?
What's going on, America?
Eric Von Haessler. If you think the stock market is unpredictable, buckle up and spend the next hour here. Seriously, we have no idea what he's going to say next. Eric Von Haessler on 95.5 WSB.
What else you got, Jared?
Sean Spicer made his debut on Dancing with the Stars last night, and Twitter is having a field day.
Oh, of course, Twitter. How is that? By the way, how is that a story? Twitter, it's the laziest reporting. I don't really have anything to say, but I'll just report on what this other medium is saying. It's just ridiculous.
That is from Business Insider.
How did
for you.
MySpace take it?
They didn't care.
Oh, okay.
Turned out nobody cared. Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
it's even lazier to say like social media. At least
Yeah.
this person said Twitter.
Yeah, but then they have all the things like there's always this person. Dear ABC, thanks for giving us the perfect reminder to boycott the network that hired Sean Spicer. You know the same network with Modern Family and all these
And fired Roseanne.
Yeah. But I'm boycotting you for this. So, did you see him? He did a salsa. He had a neon green shirt.
I saw the shirt and I changed it.
He looked like he jumped out of a cake at a gay bachelor party. But I have to say this. He went for it.
Light on his feet?
He went for it. I mean, he's not a good dancer. A lot of these people aren't. But he went. He went 100%. There was confetti at the end. Who's this? The Bruno guy?
Yeah,
whatever?
Bruno, one of the judges. He had this to say about it.
Give me a second. He was going bonkers with the bongos. What were you doing there? He was being attacked by a swarm of wasps. I have no idea, but I actually have to say there was some elements of salsa there, not always on time or on rhythm. And, and your hip action, at times, it looked like they were setting cement, your hips. You have to get them going a little bit more, but I have to say it was strangely entertaining.
Yeah, I love that. Strangely entertaining. If someone asked me, when I saw it, I thought exactly the same thing. I give him an A+. He went for it. I don't care what his last job was. He's a goofy-looking white dude, and he went for it and did the salsa in a green shirt. And I give him points for that. But I don't want to see it again. It was strangely entertaining. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Oh, Haessler's getting biblical.
Uh-oh.
But for other reasons. This is what's on my mind today. It has more to do with the press, reportage, coverage. If you're in the press corps right now, you may very well get what you want next November, but you will have torn up everything that used to be considered reporting along the way. And then where are you? You like my biblical quote there?
I do.
That's something they need to think about. Because I'm looking up here on the monitors, and Fox News is covering the New York Times thing as a botched story. Now, I got to say, on this one, Fox News is correct. The New York Times has said it was a botched story. MSNBC, CNN, nothing. We don't really care about what's going on with reportage right now. We know what we want, all right? And it's like when candidates, when they're running, will say anything to get elected. And then they get elected. And then they're on the hook for all the ridiculous things that they promised people.
Tell me about it.
Right. And, Trump could have run saying, I'm going to enforce the laws that are already on the books when it comes to immigration. But he had to run with the wall thing, and so now that's where he has to live. You can win, but what do you lose on your way there? Is anyone ever going to read the New York Times with a straight face again? I think it's very difficult to believe. But I don't want to get too political because you know what? It's Tuesday, and that means it's Tech Tuesday. So let's do this.
Tech Tuesday with Greg Russ.
All right, Gregory, who I happen to know was also, again, up all night. He sent me a video. He was making noises all night. We'll go over that video in a future podcast when Greg can join us.
Yeah, we could do that tomorrow.
All right. That's
I also have just been watching the seconds pass. I know exactly how long I've been alive, if you care to know. Do you want seconds, minutes, days? What would you like, hours, weeks?
You know what? I like the idea of seconds because it's so crazy. Because you think it's going to be so large and you go, wow.
Oh, I lied. I can't give you seconds.
Okay.
It's only got minutes. 19,786,314 minutes.
Well, there you go. And I would say that you've only spent about 19 million of those being neurotic. There's some minutes in there that have been free form, having a good time, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, and only 526 of them sleeping.
Oh, well, it's because this guy's not a sleeper. And he's 37 years old. And
wait. No, I'm 37, 7 months old. That comes out to 451 months. 1,962 weeks, 13,740 days.
Well, however you measure it, I'm telling you, you're in the face-changing zone, which happens between 37 and 43. And if you don't get sleep in this critical time of your life, you are going to, you know what happened to Billy Joel between 37 and 42.
Yeah, but there was a lot of booze involved, too.
All right, I know, but it's a lot of sleep and staying hydrated. If you want to keep that face, that hipster-friendly New York City Soho face, you need to get plenty of sleep and keep yourself hydrated from now until about the age of 43. That's my best. You can call up Dr. Oz because he's a real doctor. You can get questions.
What about Dr. Joe? You could ask Dr. Joe.
Dr. Joe will tell me it has something to do with the Vegas.
Drink a cup of gravy every night before bed.
You need to get your sleep, man. That's all I'm saying. Now, what do you got for Tech Tuesday?
Speaking of sleep, new designs have been revealed for an incredible new space hotel.
Oh, who's going to sleep up there?
Rich people, because it's going to cost $9.5 million to go if this thing ever gets off the ground, which they want to launch it in 2025, even though nothing's been fabricated at this point.
Yeah.
But Eric, let me tell you, it's going to be beautiful. It's not going to be what you're thinking, 2001 Space Odyssey or Star Trek. It's going to be plush carpeting, beautiful light fixtures, bouquets of flowers.
Yeah, I saw something on TV this morning where they made a mock-up video of what it'll look like, and it seems quite beautiful. And certainly, I wouldn't mind putting on, I don't know, virtual reality goggles and having that experience. But I could not enjoy myself in a space hotel because I'd always be thinking about what if something went wrong. No one can come up here and rescue me. The best first responder has no ability to respond when something goes wrong. So therefore,
We'll be there in 5 hours.
What's the point of plush carpeting? You're not going to be walking on it, are you? I mean, is there a gravity?
Yeah. Do they have an artificial? Is it like a?
It's spinning.
Is it spinning?
Yes, it's that wheel design where it spins. So the closer you get to the outside, there will be gravity. If you can get to the center, there'll be no gravity.
I wouldn't. I think that when we have this new term, space tourist, and my understanding is one of these companies is going to be sending people in the next year or two just to go out in space for
Do you even orbit?
A minute or two. I don't even know if you orbit. You may orbit once or something, come back down. I don't even know if it's that much. But what other people call space tourist, I call the first dead people in space.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And
dead pioneers.
What is it about being super rich that makes you bored? I could find plenty of things to do on Earth. If hey, you know what? Pitch a tent at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Yeah, not to mention with the space station, with this hotel too, you're not going to be able to do anything. You're stuck in the hotel. I'd have claustrophobia.
And when you go to space, don't you want to float? I feel like that's what I'd want to do. Is
Well,
like
you can go
fly
toward
around.
the center. You can go to the center and float.
Yeah, they'll have a little activity area down
Oh, they do.
Yeah, you go.
No,
You
they
play,
will.
They have the gym.
You play shuffleboard, but you
Where
gotta,
they have like lots of water droplets you can play with and M&Ms to catch.
Shuffleboard, and you got to keep ducking.
Yeah.
You got to keep ducking so you don't get hit in the head.
Yeah, don't play the darts. It's really dangerous.
I want to say, Eric, you're missing something here. The
Yeah.
reason rich people would do this because their sole purpose in life is to escape poor people.
Oh,
so
yeah.
going to the bottom of the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
any poor person can go down there. And your Soho Club that's off limits to poor people, they're still outside on the street.
Yeah, what are you?
They're around.
What are you, a screenwriter from Los Angeles? Is that really? Is that what
I'm
rich
just-
people want? They just want to get away
Yes.
from poor people.
That's yes.
Do they,
That's
do
what
they,
drives
Do
them.
they leave their house every time the cleaning person comes by or the pool guy? I can't be there. I can't be near him. It's too
those
much.
rubes.
It's
There are
too much.
there are none of
Well,
those
it
rubes
depends.
in
They don't
space.
understand my life.
Yeah,
What are
it
you getting your ideas? You've been cooped up too long. It's like, oh, those rich people out there, they don't want to be around me because I don't have money. You're making this up in your mind.
There's a stench. They
Yeah.
can smell me from a mile away.
Wasn't there there was a stupid,
Coins. I smell like coins.
there was a stupid space movie that was based on that. What, the 1% got to escape. And
Yeah, there was a
the
Matt
rest-
Damon had to
Wasn't
go
that-
up and get
was
the
it a-
cure for the girl who was sick.
Yeah, 'cause he cared.
Elenium, right? I think it was
Was it Elysian or Elysian?
something like that. Yeah,
Elysium.
it came out, I think, 2016.
Yeah.
Alicia Silverstone.
I think it bombed. All these movies bomb.
Well, yeah, Jodie Foster was like the evil lady running the facility, and poor people weren't
And
allowed.
then she was sent to space, and she saw her dead dad on the beach.
Hey, you know what? The reason you're still poor may have something to do with the fact that you have a cartoon image of what being rich is. Yeah, they all meet together at the country club. Let's build a space hotel, and then we'll never have to touch them.
Elysium is the name. Elysium, 2013.
Elysium. Great
Thank
film
goodness.
that I didn't see.
It wasn't very good.
The 1%. The 1%. They get to go up there and have their fun and their cures. They leave
I
us
can't
down
wait
here.
till I'm rich enough to die in space like all those rich people.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. Is like all these guys that are, like who's the guy, the Virgin Galactic guy, the
Yeah.
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. Yeah, this guy's been trying to kill himself for 30 years. I'm on a balloon. I'm up in the stratosphere. What is wrong with you?
It's the only thing he's ever failed at, killing himself.
Himself. Everything else has been a smashing success.
Just
the
can't
hell?
seem to pull that one off.
I think the more money I had on Earth, the closer I'd want to be to it. I wouldn't want to be up in the stratosphere.
I'd go
I'm
below
breaking-
the Earth,
Yeah.
below the surface.
I'm
Yeah.
breaking a record in the stratosphere. Who cares? Let some nobody go up there and make a name. Guess what? If you break the record in the stratosphere, you were already famous. You're taking the place of somebody else who could have gotten on the world stage by doing that.
Now, how do you feel about James Cameron, who goes further into the Earth, basically,
Well,
by going down into the ocean?
I don't think that. I think that people who do stuff like that, they need to be experts at it, so they know what they're doing. I think James Cameron is a very curious guy.
He's close to an expert.
Yeah,
I
but
think
he's probably to the real experts. He's
Yeah.
probably, we got to deal with this guy, but he's paying for everything.
Yeah.
So we got to take him down there with us.
Now, I'm hollowing out a mountain. If I'm in the 1%,
Yeah.
hollowing out a mountain, living in there. That way I survive
Yeah,
everything.
Mount Hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where Tim.
it'll
That's
be
where you'll
like,
find
It'll be like a pyramid, except
Yeah,
a
the
natural
s-
structure.
the super mega rich Tim Andrews to be hiding
Right.
out in Hollow Mountain.
Mole
that,
man.
Tap that geothermic energy to
Yeah, you
power
have a
everything.
whole world going
Oh,
on down
yeah.
there.
Fake sun so I can grow stuff I'll never plant,
Look out for the hobbits.
harvest.
All the
I'll
rest.
just die.
You turn into a golem.
I'm gonna go to Mars and just live on potatoes. I made that up myself.
Hey, that's in a movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I made that up
With Matt
myself.
Damon.
Oh, I thought I made it. How many bad sci-fi movies has Matt Damon made? I read that book, the Mars book, and
The
it
Martian.
was The Martian. Yeah, that was a pretty good book. And then I watched part of the movie. Oh, this is terrible.
Are you not excited for the new Ad Astra movie that comes out this
Here's my
week?
problem with Ad Astra.
Ad
Greg,
Astra?
yeah, he's in it. Ad Astra. Greg, you're like me. You like good science fiction. Are you excited about the Ad Astra?
I wasn't, but I'll tell you, I did see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and now I'm a big Brad Pitt fan.
Well, he didn't make Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I would put that more in the Quentin Tarantino.
I'm just saying he's in it.
I
And so
get
I'm
it.
I'm a big fan.
So Ad
He's so
Astra.
cool.
Here's my thing. I know he's my age. That makes me feel bad. But he also has a lot of makeup
he
people.
takes his shirt off in that movie.
Ah,
and
Still
yeah,
got
yeah.
abs. Still
think
got
of-
abs.
I think of you taking your shirt off.
I've lost 25 pounds, but I haven't haven't bulked it up with muscle or anything, so it's just
There are some abs in there somewhere.
somewhere.
Just a droop.
Yeah, somewhere.
Underneath that
It's just
waterbed.
it's just
Looks
less-
like you're melting.
Yeah, it looks like I'm melting. Yeah, not as bad as John Goodman though. There's something weird and disconcerting about a skinny John Goodman that I keep seeing.
It's
He
like
looks
Al
he's-
Roker.
yeah.
I still am not okay with
He
the skinny
looks
Al
like he's
Roker.
melting. These guys.
I'm not exactly skinny.
So with Ad Astra, here's my problem with it. I think that they say it's brilliant and everything. It's going to have that. They're going to inject that stupid man woman. They don't like each other at first, but then they learn to work together, and then I guarantee you they're going to shove some kind of ridiculous Hollywood nonsense in there. That's why Interstellar was so great. It didn't have that. And it was just a sci-fi movie, and nobody paid any attention because they didn't throw that stupid, the guy and the girl, they don't like each other too much.
They did throw in Damon, though. He had his cameo in that.
Now, look, the spoiler alert.
Oh, come on.
Nobody's
Spoiler.
seen it. Nobody's seen it.
If they haven't seen it yet, they're not going to watch it.
This guy, Christopher Nolan, who's made two of the greatest movies in the last, 10 years with Interstellar and Dunkirk. This guy, if he's not making Batman movies, nobody cares. Nobody cares. He made two of the greatest movies in the last 10 years. I don't think either of them were nominated for, maybe Dunkirk was nominated.
Dunkirk got nominated.
But Interstellar didn't because the world was dying in Interstellar. You know why? This is my theory as to why it wasn't nominated for Movie of the Year. Because they didn't blame it on climate change. They blamed it on a virus.
But did Christopher Nolan contact the International Space Station?
No, but you don't have time to do that now because the music is here. We'll get to that when we return. All right, Greg, I think we're going to ruin the rest of your thing by listening to Brad Pitt here, but I think you'll be interested.
I would listen to his voice all day.
Okay, Ad Astra is coming out, and NASA, they are, they're just basically PR whores at this point. They'll do anything to get in the news.
Look at us, please.
Yeah. We're still relevant. So Brad Pitt calls the International Space Station,
And
right?
astronaut Nick Hague answers.
Nick Hague answers. Okay, let's have some of this. I'm sure it's riveting.
Station, this is Brad. How do you hear me?
Hey, Brad, this is Nick. I've got you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station.
Then Brad goes on
Yeah,
to
no, I like this. This is my favorite part. Go ahead.
I'd read astronauts speak about looking back on the Earth and really being aware how insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things. Did you have a similar experience?
Boy, what a positive message.
You know what I would say? I would
What?
respond. I was like, I look down onto the earth and I think, man, Brad Pitt's down there.
I need to get back there. No, but I mean, this whole idea of why would we go to a space hotel or it's to look out and realize how insignificant we are. That's not the feeling I get out of it. You know the feeling I get out of it? There's nothing out there any more significant or less significant than me. The universe is so huge that there's nothing that you go, oh, that's a big part of it. You can't. And if Jupiter isn't big when it comes to the universe, then in reality, Jupiter's not that much bigger than me when you take over the whole universe. So I'm as big as Jupiter. I'm every bit as significant as anything else in the universe. That's my brain. That's where I go. And these idiots, I just want to go out there and realize how insignificant I am. Wow. Good positive message there, Brad Pitt. All right, Gregory, get some sleep. Your face needs it.
All right. Well, thank you for the advice.
Hour 2 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now, and I'm happy to say that Wayne Poole from Ackworth just won $900 in free gas from 95.5 WSB. That's my favorite station. I don't know why you guys are clapping. It comes out of your paychecks.
No, wait, I thought that it was out of Jared's this time.
No. It's we decided to double down and go back to yours.
But
yeah. Well, we'll get to Jared.
Tim, has yours been taken out yet?
He's on.
I'm
pretty
good.
Pretty soon. We've decided to go back to yours again. So unlucky Autumn, but lucky Wayne Poole from Ackworth just won $900 in free gas from 95.5 WSB. Here's the thing: Autumn has more money to be given, so you can win that as well. We got to have your name. If you don't register at WSBRadio.com or on the WSB Radio app, we don't have your name. But if you do register, then you listen. Listen again today at 4 o'clock. The other white Eric Erickson, will call a name. If it's your name and you hear it, call back in 9 minutes and 55 seconds, and it'll reset. So you will win $500 in free gas. Yes, your hand is up, Jared Yamamoto.
Well, Joe wrote a very concerned email about this gas contest. He says,
Joe?
Joe, yeah, he emailed Von Haessler Doctrine at WSBRadio.com.
Yeah,
Joe.
Joe is a very good listener.
Where's he going with that gun in his hand?
I would like to.
I never heard that joke before.
He says, you guys sure are giving away an awful lot of free gas. I'm starting to have
slow down. Just read it to me like a letter.
You guys are
don't read it to me like it's on like you're reading the side of a marquee or something.
You guys sure are giving away an awful.
Not like you're in New Orleans pitching like a carnival barker on the streets.
Here's from Joe. Joe writes to us. He says, "You sure are getting a lot of free gas."
You guys
read it like it's just a note that was sent to you.
Joe says, "You guys sure are giving away an awful lot of free gas. I'm starting to have some concerns about the Doctrinaires' ability to fund all of this free gas. So concerned, in fact, I'm giving some thought at starting a GoFundMe page for Autumn. I would want to see her little babies become homeless while her husband orbits the planet."
All right. Well, her husband is an astronaut, and they're millionaires. She has plenty of money.
But Joe's not done.
Way to get to a joke.
Well, he's done as far as I'm concerned. Let's do this.
More headlines for Tuesday, September 17th.
I mean,
you know what I like to do before I walk in the front door?
What?
I like to go around the house, and then like halfway through, I'll turn back around.
You blaming Jared? He's just read the note. That's the guy's he wrote.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm talking about my own experience.
Oh, you said you really enjoy doing it that way.
I like to go around the back of the house, and then I circle, and I cross in front of the door. Just
all right, now you're getting into metaphors that are not family friendly. So let's.
Knock on the door.
I know where your brain is.
Back door's open.
Autumn Fisher.
Nobody wants to go in.
She's a
guys. It's open. Anybody?
Yeah, 2 kids ago, people thought about it, but not now.
I'll leave the key right here on the front door.
You're looking desperate. I gotta say.
Okay.
Just if we'll knock.
Yeah.
It's all right. We'll ring the doorbell.
Ding dong.
My doorbell's broken. I'm afraid it's going to electrocute like a DoorDash guy or something.
Why don't you get it fixed?
You think about it every time the DoorDash guy comes, but then after that, how often?
Get one of those ring doorbells.
Oh, so I can see how ugly the person is that's knocking at my door. That's very important.
Don't they have medication for that too?
Excuse me?
What? Huh? What?
What are you doing? Your comedy? What are we at the funny, the ha hut? We're at the comedy bar. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the comedy stylings of Jared Yamamoto.
Of Jared So-So Yamamoto.
Yeah.
All right.
One of Senator Susan Collins' prominent challengers is slamming the Maine Republican for her vote in 2018 to confirm Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
Why?
Yeah, exactly.
Because of the new
is that the story?
The new sexual misconduct allegations that have come out against him. The New York Times hit piece that came out over the weekend.
New York Times.
Let me finish.
Well, you went like you were done. This New York Times thing. I mean, I just honestly I have to just not care at a certain point. You just have to not care. You have to say to reporters, if you want to drag reportage right down into hell, the New York Times runs a story that the Washington Post passed on because they didn't think it was sourced properly. New York Times runs a story, and by the way, what people need to understand is the truth, and it doesn't matter what you think of Brett Kavanaugh. It doesn't matter where you stand on abortion. It doesn't matter whether you're a liberal or a conservative. The truth is the truth is the truth. If you're going to write an attack piece, sourcing becomes priority. And the New York Times should know this. So the Washington Post passed on this. The Democrats had this bombshell in the background and knew about it during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings where they were throwing everything at him. And they decided then, not this one, it's not good enough. So the New York Times basically doing a story that's taken from a book that's coming out soon that says this guy, Max Stier, now they're making a lot about the fact that he was on Clinton's side during the whole impeachment thing. Apparently, he's a well-known guy to both sides. He's an insider. So he tells us, I guess he was at Yale at the same time that Brett Kavanaugh was at Yale. So he tells this story about drunken parties at Yale. And the best I can do in family-friendly sense, he shows up, his stuff's hanging out, and some of his buddies make that come in contact with another girl. That's what runs in the New York Times. Now, you know what's in the book? the book the reporters read in order to tell their story. So you can't fault the author of the book who wrote the book because he or she hates Brett Kavanaugh. But even in their book, they put that the so-called victim will not answer any questions and has told friends she does not remember this happening. That was in the book. The book is a hit piece, but that's in the book, not in the New York Times report. So then the New York Times has to come back and say, oh, we left this out of the report. But let me take it. So again, I go back to, I was going to the biblical phrase, for what shall it profit a man or woman?
Thank you.
If he or she
No, thank you.
shall gain the whole world and lose his or her own soul. So this is what I say to reporters. Is it worth it? You're just going to tear up all, because there cannot be one of you out there who's going to stand in front of me and say, no, that shouldn't have been included. And get out of here with it. Oh, it was New York Times is saying it was a fast editing job. Now my understanding is the reporters are saying it was in the story and was taken out by the editors. I don't know. But is it that important? Let's stop for a second, because if you stop and look in the mirror, you may just decide, to hell with you, Haessler. It is this important. This moment in time and history, and we hate this president so much that it is this important. We are willing to get rid of every standard of reportage, just so long as we can figure out a way to make the corpse of Joe Biden the next president of the United States. Is that really going to be worth it? Because I'm going to tell you something. Humpty Dumpty will never be put back together again. Will never happen. And we know with blogging and vlogging and social media, it would be nice to have a real press. Another thing, the press is always saying how dangerous it is for the president to say fake news, and maybe they're right. I understand their point, not only just to them at a rally, but in other countries, dictators love to pick up that fake news stuff and when it's not, when they're just dictators. So I understand that. But it's not all on Trump. It's on you as reporters to remain legitimate so that you have a legitimate press. I don't believe anybody from the New York Times would stand in front of me and say, yeah, we did it right. I get it. This is America. You hate this president. Half the country does. But what's important to you? Is it worth it if you get what you want next November, but you have torn and shattered every standard and practice of reportage getting there? Get over yourself. And by the way, if you're on the right and you're a Trumper, get over yourself. And by the way, if you're on the left and you're an AOC person, get over yourself. I got some news for you. This moment in time ain't that special. You're not that special. We're not that special. We're people living now. There were people living in other times, and there will be people after us. And all people think that their times are very important. There is no existential threat to anything at this moment. You've all been sold a bill of goods. But let's go even further than that. Drunken college parties. Everybody throwing stones now. Are you sure you don't live in a glass house? So everybody on the left behaved perfectly wonderful at drunken college parties as in those years. That's what I'm supposed to believe. Let me ask you another question. What if in the future, because I've been to drunken college parties and I didn't even go to college, so I didn't belong there. So I was doing some of the worst stuff. You couldn't kick me out. Now, is this just my life? But I've seen all kinds of body parts at drunken parties, and they weren't just from men. So let's say this scenario. Miss Lefty, let me ask you this question. In the future, when a powerful woman, whether it be in business or law or politics, is about to ascend to a very powerful position, is this going to be equal? What if we find video of that same woman 25, 30 years earlier ripping her top off on a balcony in the French Quarter for beads? Now, is she canceled? Is she disqualified? Let's stop pretending that only men show body parts at drunken parties when you're in your late teens or early 20s. Yes, Autumn.
I think that it would be viewed differently. I'm playing devil's advocate. I think it would be viewed differently because one is threatening in a way to a woman, maybe, and one is not.
Really? Coaxing a woman who's drunk to expose herself in public for plastic beads isn't threatening?
Showing you my boobs is not threatening, but you showing me something else feels threatening.
To you?
Yes, to me.
So that's the standard? You decide? All I'm seeing is somebody's drunk and they're showing off parts of their body. I've been at parties where you can see people getting it on in windows. I don't know who those people are now. They may be very powerful. I have no idea. But this idea that none of us live in a glass home and we're all throwing stones, it's absurd. But the real point is, whoever you are or however you vote, get over yourselves. Abacab? You know why it's called Abacab?
No.
Apparently that's if you're a musician, it's A-B-A-C-A-B is the, I don't know. Which just goes to show you that they were just throwing anything out there. I want people to buy anything. What's the chord structure on this song? We'll call it Abacab. Yeah, backwards is backaba. That is true. and as we know, that is an evil satanic message. Yep. Backaba, of course, lives in the underworld.
Backaba is a very evil guy.
I don't know if I have enough time here, but I've been thinking about your question, Autumn.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only throw me for a moment, then I start thinking about it. So my question was, if we can, let's say that all this, if the drunken college party things that guys are involved with or body parts are involved, and I've been through plenty of parties where I've seen plenty of body parts that weren't mine and they belonged to men and women in those drunken days. My question was, what if an accomplished woman is about to ascend to a very powerful post, presidency, top of a CEO, something, and you find 30 years earlier a video where she's tearing her top off.
Girls Gone Wild.
No, I don't mean that. I mean like a balcony, okay. Show us, for beads. And you said, well, that doesn't feel, what did you say? It doesn't feel threatening. But she's drunk. I'm saying is she's drunk when she's doing it, and it's sexual in nature to the people who are throwing her the beads, and I would argue sexual in nature to her at the moment while she's drunk. So if it's true that that doesn't count, that would put a lot of pressure on the concept of date rape, don't you think? It's the same thing. Same thing as, well, she said yes, but you should have known that she was drunk. And therefore, it was still a problem that you went through and had what you could argue was consensual, but you should have known that she was drunk.
She can't give consent.
So, exactly. So let's say on this balcony there's a bunch of guys around her. You're still blaming them. I think it hurts that concept. I think we have to go with, if Kavanaugh did it, we hold him responsible whether he's drunk or not. And if a girl did it, you'd have to hold them responsible whether they're drunk or not. And I just want to know, would that be disqualifying, or would that cancel that person because they got drunk and walked into a party with their body parts hanging out? I have more on this when we get back, because we haven't even done the Saturday Night Live thing, and that's what I'm really, really excited about this morning. See, now, somebody from the New York Times is saying, well, that girl, she was probably too drunk to remember when Brett Kavanaugh and his friends did that. Well, maybe, but that's what you're going to rest your impeachment proceedings on? Oh, she was probably drunk. Doesn't make any sense.
I'm sorry, but there's absolutely nothing that will come of this other than them pushing this narrative for a week and then it'll go away.
Well, there's more to it than that, though. This is about Roe v. Wade, and they have a fear that they have a conservative court, and there's an attempt, really, to delegitimize the court.
Yeah.
Leading up to something like that. Meanwhile, there's no evidence. There's no evidence, really, that there's any danger of that. Brett Kavanaugh, again, I said this yesterday, has voted with the majority since he's been there. He's voted with the majority more than any of the other 8 members of the court. Now, how you can toss that at me, well, this guy's obviously a runaway radical, voting with the majority more than anybody else on the court. If none of this was happening, you'd have a lot of talk on the right about how he wasn't the the correct pick, that he was an establishment figure. If all of this stuff had not come up from the hysterical left and just in a vacuum, a lot of the story, Trump would have had, if he had any problem, it would have been convincing constitutional Republicans who do want Roe v. Wade overturned that Kavanaugh was the right pick. Because absent all these ridiculous charges from 100 years ago, he comes off to a lot of harder right Republicans as just establishment and not really all that animated by Roe v. Wade. And since he's been there, he's been rather milquetoast. And he's agreed with Ginsburg an awful lot. And another thing about the reporting is Ruth Bader Ginsburg is on the record as saying that she likes him, she thinks he's a good person, and that she thinks that he was not treated properly during his confirmation. No one that reports on anything has any interest in digging into that story. Isn't that strange? Because I've got a feeling, and I will admit, you cannot prove a negative, but I've got a feeling that if Ruth Bader Ginsburg gave an interview and said, I don't like him, I don't trust him, and I won't allow myself to be in a room alone with him, I got a feeling that a reporter here or there might want to dig and get a little more on that story. Again, you can't prove a negative, but that's my feeling. So I think most people ought to agree with your point of view rather than mine, that if a woman at a college frat party gets so drunk that she takes off her clothes or exposes her breast or something like that, that would not disqualify them in later years. But I wonder about the thinking there. Is it because, are we going back to the idea that they're the fairer sex?
Yes.
So they pose, okay, well, now we're getting back into patriarchal structures.
Right. But it's all flawed. There's so many arguments within the arguments that are flawed that you can't navigate through the part of the argument that you might agree with.
But you can do what I did this morning when I was listening to the news on the way in, and every stride, you can do that.
Okay. Or you know what my favorite thing in an argument is? Yeah, but still.
Yeah, but still. Why can't we argue that when people are drunk, both sexes do dumb things sometimes?
Okay, but why does one political side have the right, and it is expected that they can use drunken behavior against the other side? But let's look at the people that are this story that even the New York Times now has to admit was not well sourced. And you have all the candidates out there saying he needs to be impeached or he needs to resign. Virginia is still a state or a commonwealth or whatever the hell you call it. And everything we were talking about 6, 7, 8 months ago is still going on there. Remember? Governor, who's a Democrat, found in blackface. He says he doesn't think it's him. It is in his yearbook from medical school. All right? It was going to be a no-brainer. Let's get him out of there. Lieutenant Governor, I think Lieutenant Governor, I'm not real familiar with Virginia politics, African-American, Democrat. Okay, let's get rid of this white racist and put the African, two really solid allegations of rape. He says it was consensual. Okay, what about the next guy? Next guy's Democrat. He says he may have done some sort of parody in blackface when he was. The fourth guy would be a Republican, would be the governor. Those other three people still have their jobs. That story went away. The same people who are saying that Brett Kavanaugh must resign or be impeached because a victim who herself says she doesn't remember, but we all know she was drunk, and he needs to step down. But this lieutenant governor guy I think he's lieutenant governor, second in charge of Virginia.
You're right.
Has 2 allegations of rape against him. And I'll tell you, in the last 7, 8 months, I haven't heard anybody call for anything. These are Democrats calling for Kavanaugh's head so they know what's going on in Virginia. And don't get me wrong if you're just tuning in. The right is no better. I'm just pointing this out on this side right now. We are stuck right now with the worst batch of leaders in the history, in my history anyway, since I've been noticing politics since like the late 70s. The worst bunch of leaders. But you know what? Those leaders are stuck with the absolute worst electorate they've ever had to face. So it kind of goes round. You're America. Look in the mirror. America always gets the governance that it deserves. And this is what you want. You want a dog fight, and you want it every day, and you want your side to extract more blood from the other side every day. So you deserve it. You deserve exactly what you're getting. This is what you wanted. It's as if you ordered it off the menu and you're at a 5-star restaurant. You got exactly what you ordered. This is what you want. Nobody wants to kick back and have a good time. It's too important, Eric. There are existential threats, which there aren't. I mean, terrorism still.
Nuclear bombs.
Well, I mean, terrorism.
Yeah.
I mean, France isn't going to nuke us. You know, rogue nations. Yeah, that kind of thing is an existential threat. But everybody listening to me now, you see, we have a great show. And I don't have to tell you the sky is falling to keep you interested, whether you're from the left or from the right. Because we're just interesting. We just have a good show. It's worth listening to. It's fun. If you're into current events, I don't have to play those games. So I can tell you this, whether you're on the left or you're on the right. The day you die, the world's going to go on for years and years and years and years and years without you. The world doesn't need you that much. You can go on vacation. You can do something mindless. It's okay. The world was here for a good, I could say 4.5 billion years, but you know, most of it was molten lava for most of it. So yeah. Let's go to 10,000 years of recorded human history. Before you showed up, Mr. I go to every Trump rally and we can't lose this election or it's the end of the world, or Mrs. Oh my goodness, if we don't get full-on trans rights in the next 2 years, it's the end of the world. I got news for you. The world was here for 10,000 years before you showed up. Human civilization. People will tune in and think I'm getting all biblical. No, 10,000 years of human recorded civilization. And it's going to be here long after you're gone. It's not that you're not important. You're you. You're an individual. You've got a lot to give. But the world does not give a damn that you were born or that you're going to die. So what's in it for you? Leave the campground a little cleaner than you found it. Be kind. Spread a little joy. Have the humility to know you only have the ability to spread a little joy. Do what you can. Live a good life. Be good to people. Be good to yourselves. But never think that you are so good at living this life that others should be forced to live it exactly as you are. That's the problem with people on the left and the right. If only everybody thought the way that I thought, everything would be great. No, that would be horrible. Whether from the left or the right, if everybody agreed with you, that would be horrible. It's astonishing now. People are fighting so much, they've lost, they don't even know where they are anymore. They're like they're hamsters on a wheel. Gotta keep going, gotta keep going, gotta keep going. Step back. Have some humility. This is not the most important moment in history. You have been hoodwinked. It's not even close. If your side loses, you know what'll happen? The argument will come back up again on the old wheel. Somewhere down the line. Goldwater had the same arguments as Reagan. He lost in the 60s. Reagan came along in the 80s. You're just part of it, man. You're not it. No one wins forever, especially in America. Hey, I like low taxes, not because I'm selfish, because I happen to think it's the best thing for the country. People go out and earn. If they can keep more, they'll be more productive. More production helps. So if I get a candidate who cuts taxes, I'm not going to build a float and have a parade. Why? Because it's America. There's no the end. The movie isn't over. Taxes are going to be low for a while, and then somebody's going to come along and be very charismatic and convince people we should raise taxes. And then, 12 years later, somebody else is going to come along and say, hey, those taxes are too high. You're part of something. It's not about you. You are not living. If you're on the left, the planet is going to be around. I shouldn't be surprised that people have been convinced of the existential threat from the climate. I'm looking on NBC this morning, the Today Show. They had they're talking about something. I look, and the banner at the bottom says, how climate change is affecting our nation's landmarks. And then in the report, they're talking about things that could happen in the future. Jamestown will be flooded out. The Statue of Liberty will be washed over. But the thing says how climate change is affecting our nation's landmarks. And then the report tells me what could happen if we don't change things into the future. So now could and is are being mixed up as one and the same. I'm sorry to rant. We haven't even gotten to the SNL thing. Let's do mailbag for a while. Okay. Because I got some things to say about the SNL thing as well.
The Von Haessler Doctrine. It's like an unshakable virus you share with your friends and coworkers. But in this case, after 4 days of forcing it on them, they'll thank you for it. Now, wipe those laughing tears from your face and go viral with EVHDoctrine.com.
Everything's wonderful, people. I'm yelling at people to tell them to relax and stop yelling at other people. I don't know how good that strategy is. I've got to yell at people.
I'm too scared to yell.
I got to yell at people to tell them they need to be more joyful. Mm-hmm. Let me give you a good spanking.
You're like those peace people who are those angry peace people.
Screaming and hollering through bullhorns about peace.
We will have peace, or we will burn this town to the ground.
Yeah. No justice, no peace.
And all the listeners have left us such nice things too. I had a nice mailbag today.
Oh yeah, we got to do mailbag. My rant went through the mailbag. And you want to open it up now, and then we'll come back and do some mailbag.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, see, Jared has a good time. He's not worried about the planet ending.
I'm having a great time.
All his friends are though. But you have to hear it all the time.
Oh, I definitely do.
So you have to ask. Oh, how? Okay, this is what I want you to say to you. I'm just asking. Just asking. Okay. Next time you're at one of your 5-hour-long brunches, and some of your friends bring up that the world's ending, you might want to ask them, why aren't you out doing something about it? Why are you
Let's get another fishbowl. Who cares? The world's ending. So
that music tells me I can't hit the music to open mailbag till we come back.
And I can't play any of these positive open mics either.
I do promise that we are going to cover the SNL firing. I mean, my producer's name is Yamamoto. We have to address this. Hour 3 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. Well, I've really stirred up the listeners. Von Haessler, the natives are restless.
Why can't you just be consistent with one side of the issue, Eric?
I am consistent. You just can't see it. Let me tie everything up with a little bow. Nice, pretty bow here. What I'm saying to the left and the right is, it's not the end of the world if Trump gets reelected. And it's not the end of the world if Trump doesn't get reelected. And if you're on either side and you believe either one of those things to be true, my guess is there's a lot of media in your diet. On the right, radio and 24-hour news. On the left, social media and the Kardashians and any other nitwit that you're listening to. Yes, Jared.
What happens if a libertarian wins?
Well, then the Earth just gets
Reason
sucked.
magazine.
Yeah, I don't think. I think that is truly an existential threat because we don't really know what that world looks like because none of us ever took this party seriously enough, even libertarians such as myself, to even know what that would look like. All right, you want to do some mailbag here? I know we're switching things up. Are you ready for it, Alan? All right, let's do some mailbag.
It's the Doctrine Mailbag. We've got the open mics, Facebook messages, and emails we've collected from the week.
I noticed something there. Is that the same swoosh that's at the beginning of the down by law thing?
Yeah.
Are you getting lazy on me?
No.
You're putting the same swooshes into...
It's a little different, but it's very similar.
Slowed it down some.
It's from the same sound package.
This is from this is back from the weekend show, and this is before we had our talks with Jared about coming in on the struggle bus every Sunday morning. So sometimes you get the same swooshes.
Well,
a little bit of laziness there, if you ask me.
When you put out sounders like I do, it's a hard job, to make all these great sounders.
I'm very proud of you. What do you got, the down by law one?
And studies, surveys, and polls?
Is it studies, surveys, and polls as well?
I can't remember it. Maybe it is in front of me.
Oh, for heaven's
Look
sakes,
at that.
Jared.
It's time for
Yeah.
Wow.
He would tell you that's his signature.
Yeah. That's our show.
Everyone knows. Everyone knows.
Well, Clive and I have
That's
had
his
meetings
sound.
about this.
Yeah,
I told Clive Cliverson, my radio guru / consultant.
Yes, Clive and I have had meetings, and we want to brand you. And
Jared is my fault. Jared had a bunch of different sounds and whatnot. I said, just use the same one to give you a consistent swoosh. But then, everybody will identify that whoosh with you.
Yeah. If you wouldn't you think at that point it has to be in every sounder?
Well, we're working on that.
To have it in 3/4
well,
or 2/3.
You know how with Fred Blankenship, when you meet up with him, there's always that amazing sound that we hear. When people see you, Eric, they think of the whoosh.
Do you have it ready? Hey, is that Eric Von Haessler? Is that Eric Von Haessler? Oh, yeah. Oh, hi, everybody. Eric Von Haessler here. Okay.
Feels familiar.
All right. No need to grovel. I'm just a person just like you. All right. We are going to talk about the SNL thing. We're going to do that a little bit later. I promise. I know sometimes I promise.
Keep teasing that.
And we don't get to it. Well, you're the one, Clive Cliverson told me you got to tease people.
That's how you win.
He told me that it doesn't even matter if you ever actually deliver. Just in radio, just tease things.
Let me pull back the layer a little bit here as Tim Andrews.
Yes.
I've actually been told that by program directors.
Absolutely, yeah, because...
people are dumb.
Just tease them. Most they're usually out of the car anyway. They'll be thinking about what they missed and come back the next morning, so maybe they'll not miss the next thing. Well, you can see it with like the entertainment shows. Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood or those. They will, as they go to a commercial... They will tease a story.
Yes.
And you go to like 5 minutes of commercials. You come back. The story itself is only like 20 seconds longer than the tease.
Mm-hmm.
They made you think it was a tease, but they actually showed you basically the whole story on the way. But don't go anywhere. We've got 20 seconds more of that.
When they do that, I proclaim out loud to myself or the TV, I'll just go to Twitter. And I find it right away.
Is Jennifer Aniston pregnant?
I don't know.
Turns out she's not. Good night, everybody.
That's what the consultants don't understand about, and you see it all the time with the local news.
Yeah.
Is your hairbrush killing you? We'll tell you tonight at 11. Well, it's 5 o'clock now. I have the internet, and my guess is if my hairbrush is giving me cancer, I'll probably this trick may have worked in 1977 when I would have had to have a friend at the Library of Congress that I could call, but I do have the entire internet.
The other day there was a boil water alert
it was
issued
yesterday, I believe,
for DeKalb County, but it started on Sunday.
Yeah.
And
did you boil your water?
No, I just went and bought water. I'm not going to boil water.
Wow, the rich just keep on getting richer.
Seriously,
huh?
wow.
And I even bought it for the dogs. So anyway, every time
Tammy Baker action.
Every time I saw a news story on Twitter about it, it always said, "Well, there's a boil alert. We'll let you know. Tune in tonight." I'm like, no, I'm just going to find. And I found out. Keep boiling.
By the way, you're using social media, so I'm already online.
Right. Just tell us. I promise I'll tune in later.
Yeah, maybe that's it. You can promise to tune in.
Yeah. I'll find out about the murders you're going to talk about.
Yeah, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be 12
apartment
minutes.
Fires.
12 minutes of murders. Yeah, you got the helicopter, so we got to see every apartment fire and tire fire on the edge of town. That was my follow-up to Darkness on the Edge of Town.
Tire fire is still burning hard.
There's a tire fire on the edge of town.
Never going out when the sun goes down. Your daddy's not gonna like it, gonna took you down.
Your daddy said keep you away from tire fires, but I knew he was nothing but a liar. Yeah, I can write Bruce Springsteen songs in my sleep, and he's been doing that for the last 25 years. So we have that in common.
For the rest.
Whoever thought we'd get to a point in history where somebody would have to tell you, Springsteen put out an album a few months ago. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Remember when that was like a big deal?
Yes. Not as big as BTS.
This is my favorite thing after they say Bruce Springsteen put out a new album. It's just him acoustic. Oh, great.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, my daddy didn't like me, and got that thing on Netflix, that Broadway thing.
I haven't seen it.
Unwatchable.
Isn't it him in the band, or is it just him?
Just him.
Oh.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's not so much. It kind of opens strong. And he's talking about how he never worked a day of his life in the factory and all that.
Oh, he finally admitted it.
Well, yeah, it's kind of out of his autobiography. And that part's good. And then he starts with Growing Up. Great song. But then, immediately, the second or third song is My Father's House. I don't want to listen to this. Droning. It's just more stories. Yeah. Springsteen has an amazing catalog. It should not be difficult.
I knew a guy that played Little League, and then he was in high school, and he did pretty good, and then you drift apart, and I went back to town one time and saw him at a bar, and he's reliving all those old times, and that's when I said, hey, I'm gonna write Glory to you.
Now, this is a good song. This is from the good days. But somewhere after, you know what it was? It was by the time we got to the 90s.
Yeah.
And he put out those two albums at the same time, like Guns N' Roses did.
With the Tom Joad?
No, that was later.
Okay.
Remember, Guns N' Roses put out two albums, not a double album. They put out two different.
Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
Right. And so he put out two albums. One was called Lucky Town, and the other one was called something else.
Yeah. The last album I ever purchased was the one with Brilliant Disguise on it.
Yeah, that was his last.
Was that called Brilliant Disguise?
No, it was called Tunnel of Love.
Okay.
But man, did he get boring. And here's the thing about Springsteen, and you can turn. I don't care. You tuned in. You want to hear me rant about the original FISA warrant? I apologize.
Well, Jared is going to play the. We're going to go out with Eric Church's Springsteen. So keep going.
Yeah,
that's right.
But this whole thing that he did on Broadway, Bruce Springsteen, Man of the People, the tickets are $500. He's got no band. The only person that accompanies him is his wife for a few songs, and he lives close by.
Took the train.
No, he didn't take the train. He took de Blasio's. So $500 a ticket. I don't know what the house holds. You got a couple thousand, right?
2,000
a night. He does this thing for 5 months straight. 5 nights a week. So Bruce Springsteen, Man of the People. Oh, come, please. Yeah. This is Broadway. All right, I don't want to make. You might come up with a song that I like. So he gets in a limo with his wife, drives to the venue, talks and sings for an hour and a half, takes home $50,000, gets in his limo, rides back home, doesn't have anybody to pay.
There's trouble in River City. With a capital T that rhymes with P, and that spells pity.
Well, I'm sorry that you paid $500 thinking I wasn't gonna drone on and on. Yeah, sorry, kids. No Rosalita tonight. I'm gonna do another version of My Father's House.
My grandma's.
Because I was looking at the mansion on the hill.
Yeah. Turns out it was mine.
I had to fire my maid today.
You know what that acoustic set sounds like is that Bradley Cooper. It sounds a lot like that.
Oh, well, Bradley Cooper sounds like him.
For sure.
My limo got a flat on the highway last night.
My accountant might be stealing my money.
It actually gets me to another point I was thinking about last night about social media, about how much damage it's doing. This is really no relation.
Can't
Except
afford
that,
my wife's Botox.
except that we're talking about how Springsteen could turn himself into a victim, right? Social media is turning everybody in this country into a victim. People who are no names, right? And the way that you can really see how it's doing that, because you get points for being a victim on social media, right? So guys who are the American dream but don't know it, like Odell Beckham Jr. and Antonio Brown, right? They're going on social media, and social media is so good at getting you to see yourself as a victim that these multimillionaires living the American dream, born into nothing, because of social media, continually portray themselves as victims. Odell Beckham Jr. is a victim because the NFL's not allowing him to wear a $250,000 watch while he plays. That's some good Springsteen. You know, as long as I'm upsetting people today, I'll continue by talking about sports and then telling you that it's over. It's already over. I don't even know why we are actually going to have an NFL season this year. Is it just we have to go through the motions? Is it just that, somebody might get hurt or 17 people on the Patriots might get hurt and the rest of the league has a chance? Do you know, in the first 2 weeks of the season, the score differential between the New England Patriots and the two teams they've played?
It's got to be about 35, right?
73-3.
Oh, well,
they have
okay.
a 70-point. They've outscored the first two teams by 70 points. And remember, they didn't have Antonio Brown for the first game. He only came along the second game. I don't know how the NFL is like, okay, yeah, let's do it again.
Well, maybe,
if I was the commissioner, I would say, I don't know if you should go there. Yes.
Maybe Daniel Jones will be the answer. He's going to
keep the Giants roaring back?
He's going to replace Eli Manning. And you know what the Giants do to the Patriots?
Well, maybe. I don't see it happening.
You mean Eli?
Let's all enjoy our little fun and our Sundays with our families and our chips and our dip. I know who's going to win the trophy, and so do you. It's sad, but it's true. We have all the 24-hour news networks on the monitor up there. Only Fox News is showing what's going on in Minneapolis. People are just stomping on people's faces and just beating people up for no reason. By the way, they can't get, nobody wants to be on the police force. And I'm looking at, the way we have it here is I have all three of those networks on the same monitor and with the sound down. And so I'm just seeing the imagery that's going on in all of them. And Fox is the only one running that. Now I got to ask you this question. Again, you can't prove a negative, but if those dudes are wearing MAGA hats, I'll bet you that footage would be all over the place nonstop. It really is. It's so obvious that, look, you get me on another day, I'll go off on this president for hours. I got an awful lot of things.
You're not a fan of tariffs, I get it.
I'm not a fan of tariffs. I'm not a fan of Sharpies pretending things. I'm not a fan of no humility. I'm not a fan of just being able to say, hey, that one's on me. I'll get it right next time. A lot of things I'm not a fan of.
I'm not a fan of any of that either.
Good. We're at least we're on the same page with that. But if the news, if the media wants to have an argument against the call of fake news, they are going to have to do a better job of not giving a damn who wins and who loses or what narrative goes up and what narrative goes down. And they are obviously making decisions in editorial rooms based on that. Well, look, that's not, you know what? Showing this footage isn't good for our narrative, not even our cause, because I don't believe they're in our ratings, more like. It's so obvious. It's so plain to see. And then, you tune in tomorrow and I'll tell you what's obvious and plain to see about the other side. I opened up the mailbog. You know the mailbog?
Yeah, the mailbog.
I sent Jared because it's very dangerous.
It is.
You can be caught there. You can never get back out.
Snakes, crocodiles.
Oh, absolutely. It's a it's Halloween 365. So I said we opened the mailbag and then we didn't do any mail. So let's at least do a couple of open mics.
We'll bring a little positivity.
You want to bring a little positivity?
Yes.
I'm all for that.
I'll let this open micer do it.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's another beautiful day in Atlanta today, so I think you should all get out there and get some sunshine. This is Roy. from Marietta, Georgia.
Oh, Roy, I think you're absolutely right, man.
I like Roy.
I like Roy. Get out there and have some fun. Beautiful day. Hotter than hell. But, if you're not somebody who cares about this sort of thing, go ahead and get out. I tend to scamper toward air conditioning in times like this.
Got 888s going there. 88.8 degrees. Oh, it's bouncing. Now it's 88.7.
And we're not done. We're not done. We're going up. This is the last thing. It's going to break for a couple of days. I know a guy who knows a guy who knows Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard through the grapevine, actually on WSB, that this is the last brutal day. Then we get a couple days of okayness and then back to the brutality next week. But pretty soon people will be complaining that it's cold. So I don't want to do that.
Not soon enough.
Oh, yeah? You like the cold?
Yes.
Or do you just like hearing people complain about the cold?
Both.
Okay.
And then I laugh at them.
Hey, you might
I just can't believe that we're so late. Only a few days left in my hot girl summer.
Hey, when it gets cold, you're going to get sick.
That's true. You get a common cold. You're certainly common.
I want an uncommon cold.
I've had one of those. You sneak into the clinic in the back door.
Yeah, the one with just says clinic on the front.
Yeah, they don't know you. You don't know them.
They barely speak English.
It's basically it's a pill dispensary.
Yeah.
That's the uncommon cold.
Got one more open mic for you.
Hey, Eric. The best way I can describe your way of thinking is to use this analogy. Okay, so you got two people fighting in a room. One person is the aggressor, the other person is defending themselves. And you walk in and you don't see who started the fight. You just see two people fighting. And you think to yourself, well, they're both wrong. Look at them, they're both fighting. You don't even question who started the fight and who's defending themselves. To you, it's just two people fighting.
No, that's not true. I appreciate you calling in and being eloquent. That's not true. I'm 55 years old. I've been following politics since my late teens, and I've seen an awful lot. And you are convinced that the other side started the fight. The reason the fight will never end is because the other side, just as genuinely as you are convinced, the other side is convinced that your side started the fight. And then you've got politicians in the media who gain from never stopping the fight. So each side just keeps throwing in red meat. Hey, I heard Brett Kavanaugh got drunk and drove home one night in 1979. Oh, the cops never pulled him over, but we know people say he did it. Should a guy like that, he needs to be impeached. It doesn't matter. It's just red meat. And on the right, same thing. Yeah, I don't blow people away, honestly, because they're listening to me on this radio station. If it weren't for radio and a little bit of TV, I wouldn't have thought of Hillary Clinton for the last 3 years. Wouldn't have occurred to me. Not at top of mind. But Eric, she's corrupt. Oh, is she the only one in American history? What? A politician in American history got away with corruption? What? I'm not focused on it. Just when it comes time to vote, I don't vote that way. Then my friends on the left, well, why not? Are you not open-minded? Well, I'm open-minded.
Are you a misogynist?
No. Am I open-minded? Oh, why not voting for Hillary for that reason? Well, no. This is why I can't vote for Democrats. Sometimes I can't vote for Republicans. This last time, I voted for the pot-smoking weirdo who didn't know what Aleppo was. That's where I am.
I need you this time, buddy.
I'm in Georgia. Come on. If you lose Georgia, you lost more than... I'm not going to be able to
Brian
help you.
Kemp almost did.
Yeah, that's what they say. I got a feeling you're going to be fine in Georgia. I can't vote for Democrats. Can't vote for Republicans an awful lot of time. I'll vote for a Libertarian just so they keep the ballot spot. Maybe someday somebody will come along and do something with it, and I feel like I've done something. But I absolutely cannot vote for Democrats because Democrats, most of their rhetoric is that I'm the problem. A guy like me is the problem. I'm selfish.
Have you looked in the mirror?
I've looked in the mirror, and it turns out I'm not the problem. I'm not buying. It's funny. I'm not buying what sociology professors and Democrat politicians say is my personality or my motivation or anything. I know who I am. And to me, Democrats are all saying, guys like Eric von Haessler, selfish, want the low taxes. He's the problem. If we had less people like Eric von Haessler who are willing to give us any amount of their paycheck that we demand so that we can go to professors and ask them what kind of programs we should put together so that we could somehow, someday, maybe in a little bit of a way, do something about something. But Eric von Haessler should give up any amount of money. But Eric von Haessler knows that we've spent $22 trillion in the last 50 years on welfare programs. And Eric von Haessler knows that the poverty rate is basically the same now as it was then. So where did that money go? The audacity of Eric von Haessler to believe that he could have spent his own money in a wiser fashion that ultimately would have helped more people than we, the Democrats, in Congress and state houses all over this country. So they don't want my vote. If you want my vote, you have to ask me for my vote. And the Democrats see me as the problem. And I see me as a guy who wakes up every morning at 4:30 and works his butt off to try to put on the best damn show possible. Also, a guy, by the way, who was born in the dirt, lower than low, poverty, impoverished. I know this. They don't know that, but they're not getting my vote. They don't want it. All right, we better talk about this SNL thing. I've been telling people I want to do it all day long.
Yes, it's definitely the big story. SNL has fired comedian Shane Gillis for his racist remarks.
All right, stop that. Everybody's doing that. Everybody's doing that in the headline for his racist and homophobic remarks, as if there's no context of being a comedian here. And by the way, I have not heard the remarks, and I don't care. I can defend this without hearing the remarks. He's on a podcast where things get wild. I mean, you want to hear Autumn get wild? Listen to Radio Labyrinth. The filthiest mouth you've ever heard in your life. You won't believe it. Now, so does that mean that she shouldn't be allowed to be a part of the bake sale at the next kindergarten bake sale with her kid? Because did you hear her? That's why I always have to warn Autumn, who's probably, in reality, the most liberal person on this panel.
Sure.
But she's an old-fashioned liberal who thinks that means that you should be able to say whatever you want, not the new kind who have rules and regulations. So this guy, Shane Gillis, is that his name?
That's right.
So he made remarks about Asians. Chinatown.
Correct.
Use the C word, not the other C word. You know, the C word that this, well, there's so many words now.
Made fun of the word noodle.
The non-sexual C word.
How about the CH word?
All right, but you're getting very close and making me uncomfortable.
I'm not going to say anything.
All right.
Use the slang
rhymes
word.
with.
All right.
No.
So he used this in a podcast that's freewheeling. He's a comedian. All right. I'm going to say something to knock you down. I don't care. There's absolutely comedy. I mean, you will go back and see what Richard Pryor said, Lenny Bruce, George Carlin. How many people, how many faces do we take off the Mount Rushmore of comedy? How many? Because of this. And as soon as he was hired, somebody had to go back and listen through everything and try to find something. Same thing that happened to Kevin Hart. Somebody had to go back 10 years. What I say to this, first of all, SNL hasn't been for me for 10 or 15 years. SNL, in order to stay on the air, has to always stay young. And right now, I have no really, you know what? You can have it. This generation of hall monitors that want only the purest of the pure to entertain them. You know what? I'm 55. I don't need it. It doesn't really affect my life. So go ahead. If this is the world you want to create, then go ahead. But what I would say to Lauren Michaels, Asian humor, wow, wait a minute. Hey, let's go back to the very beginning of Saturday Night Live. John Belushi, you'd say that he's on the Mount Rushmore of comedy, wouldn't you?
And now, another episode of Samurai Delicatessen.
He's got a big knife, Jared. Big sword.
Can I have a sandwich, please?
Well, you could say that was in the very beginning, Eric. No, about 10 years later. Dana Carvey, was it Nora Dunn?
Dana Carvey and Nora Dunn.
Another social justice warrior there. This was Ching and Chang, I believe.
No, it was Ching Chang.
Ching
was
Chang.
His name.
He was the guy who was in love with a chicken.
Yeah.
You know what your problem is? You need woman. You need to get yourself a girlfriend. I got no money for girl. Because you know some chicken.
Wait, what does the crowd think? Oh, there's the crowd. So Lorne Michaels is so offended. No, he's not. I just proved to you he's not. Are you proud of yourselves? Lorne Michaels is afraid of you. And what you'll say about him on social media. Wow! Aren't you empowered and flowered? What great power you have. You have the power to ruin entertainment. Pat yourselves on the back. You are going to create a vanilla form of entertainment that's going to exist for a good long time. Pat yourselves on the back. I mean, let's face it. None of you really care. But didn't it feel good letting the world know on social media that you wouldn't have it? This comedian whose comedy you've never heard 1 second of? Don't you feel good? He's not going to get a job because of your power. And Lorne Michaels, he just doesn't like anti-Asian humor.
You know what your problem is? You need woman. You need to get yourself a girlfriend. I got no money for girl. Because you know some chicken.
Yeah, the crowd loves it. Woo! I guess all those people are dead now.
Probably.
They're all dead.
They had guns pointing at their heads.
Yeah, they were forced.
I'm going back into NBC's records to find out who was in the audience that night, and they're all canceled if they're alive.
Hey, come on, social media power trippers. I'll bet if you point out what I pointed out loud enough on social media, within 2 months, I won't be able to find those on NBC. I won't be able to find those on SNL's official sites. Come on! You're not done destroying. Let's face it, you have no creative talent. You're never going to create anything or any kind of comedy or drama or anything. So why don't you just continue to destroy? Come on! Social media, don't lay down. You can make it so in a couple of months, no one can ever access that hatred. Get to work. We're done on the radio side, but we still have more work to do. We're going to go over and do the Podcast 30. How can people join us?
2 places, Eric. The Von Haessler Doctrine Facebook page or the WSB Radio Facebook page. You can see us live in the studio. Click the little red box, 2 streams, and watch us do our Podcast 30.
Also, very quickly, Lenny Bruce said the N-word many times. Go look at it. Get him out of our history. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. All right. Lift up your sullen head there, Tim Andrews. The Podcast 30 starts right now. What are you, a swizzle stick guy now? You chew on this plastic straw the whole time?
I always have to have something going on with my mouth.
Orally fixated.
You have something else you want to tell us?
No.
Not yet?
I wasn't breastfed, maybe.
You're not ready?
Wasn't breastfed. That's the problem.
J-Rad, stop bouncing around like you're doing an EDM show.
Well, I'm actually was moving the camera to the beat, going around from person
I saw
to
that.
person.
I noticed that. Nothing gets by.
Yeah, I'm clever.
Yeah,
I'm clever.
Speaking of clever, Autumn Fisher.
Yeah.
She's with us. Greg Russ is not with us. And
he said he was going to be here.
No, he's going to be here tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
That's why we're waiting for this this thing.
This audio.
This kid's losing his mind.
What kid?
He
he's
sent
a
that
kid
to me, too.
Oh.
Greg, he's a kid to me. I say kid to Autumn. I say kid to Autumn's father.
Kid.
Everybody's a kid to me.
He's a good kid.
He's a good kid.
I'm
All right, Bobby Cox.
I'm going to start calling you Dad.
Don't do that, because that's
Okay.
got a weird kind of.
How about Daddy?
That's got a
Daddy's
yeah,
hot, so you can
weird-
call me and Jared that.
Weird, creepy.
Daddy.
thing. I want to be
Not
known.
going to be on the podcast somewhere.
I want to be known in my old age. I just want people I'm done and gone. I just want them to go, as he aged, he just was not creepy. He was just like, I was in a room with him.
You've never been creepy ever.
I was in a room with him, and he just there was no creepy feeling at all.
He'd be the only old guy that didn't have that tacked onto him.
Well, you have to work at it.
He's a clean old man.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be I'm going to be at a restaurant when I'm 65, flirting with a waitress.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be, well into the Me Too era. They'll take you to jail.
It'll be post Me Too.
You think so?
Yeah.
Is there going to be a
complete
post Me Too?
blowback, and it'll be the other way. You can play grab ass, slap anybody you want.
Slap anybody.
In the butt.
I mean, I don't totally love the Me Too
No.
stuff necessarily, but I don't think we should be slapping.
No,
people.
they've overdone
How you
it.
doing, honey?
Yeah.
Bring
No.
you some salt.
Take my bedpan out.
they've overdone it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there wasn't a good point in the beginning.
Sure.
It's just that everything gets so overdone.
It's like PETA. PETA's the same way.
Yeah.
PETA has a good point on a lot of things, but then they're also insane. So I
Yeah.
don't want to be associated with them.
And also, you like chicken, and we kill about 9 billion. If you think, just drive down the street in your local town, how many chickens have to die just to serve the fast food restaurants on a daily basis? I mean, the amount of chickens that have to be born and die for our chicken habit is astonishing.
The people who only eat egg whites are doing a disservice to the chicken who had to give up their baby for you only to eat the stuff around the baby.
But if you think about, I know that we eat a lot of burger and steaks too, but cows are big and you get a bunch out of a cow.
Right.
When you eat a chicken, that only accounts for one. It's only one. And, and if you get chicken wings, you can only get two from one
I
chicken.
hope they throw the rest of the chicken away. I just want it for the wings.
I mean, the amount of chickens. I know sometimes PETA puts it up, and I don't look at it because it's disgusting. And, but then again, this is how I rationalize. Then I'll watch Planet Earth. And that's all these animals are doing.
Yeah.
They're
Exactly.
just they're killing each other and eating each other, and we're an
there's
animal.
the lion is not worried about whether the wildebeest's baby had a good life before it snatched onto its jugular.
Well, that's the thing. And also, they go for the weakest and the slowest. They don't even,
They punch down.
Yes,
So my
they
bu-
do. They punch.
They
The
punch
animal
down.
kingdom punches down. That's what I
So my buddy shouldn't feel bad. He's got chickens in his at his parents' house in Nashville.
Oh, is he one of those?
And what he
Right,
does?
they raise their own chickens.
But some
What,
of
they don't have eggs down at the store.
Some of our friends, one of the things that they do is they feed the chickens hot peppers, so that way the flavor gets transferred onto the eggs, and
well,
it
that's
really
torture.
works. Now, see,
That's
no,
torture.
birds don't.
They can't taste it,
taste
so
hot.
he shouldn't feel bad about
Not
it.
even. There's nothing that happens in the
No,
digestive.
they don't have GERD.
No, but I mean
No.
nothing. It doesn't do anything to the
No, they
digestive.
crush it up with rocks in their stomach.
Yeah,
All right, hold on. I'm looking up to see if this is really true. Hot.
it's amazing. Like usually some red pepper, green pepper, sometimes some jalapenos.
There's a guy in.
Who
those
do
are the
you
be-
think you are,
those-
playing God?
I know. Those are the best eggs I've ever had in my life, those eggs. And
There's
you
a-
could taste the flavor in it.
There's a guy in the Midwest who feeds his pigs pot buds.
Oh, that's wrong.
And
That's wrong.
But he said it really.
They get all
deflect-
stoned?
I don't. Probably.
Of course they get stoned.
Probably worse than humans
Did
do.
you ever see the movie The Bear? This
What,
is a
the one
movie. It
with
was big. It was big in
DiCaprio?
the early '90s. No, it wasn't a documentary. It was a film, but it was from the point of view of an actual cub
Oh no.
that gets. As I
Oh, yes,
recall-
I have.
as
It's a
recall.
little- yeah.
And at one point, it's tripping, and you see what the world looks like. And then you think about it. It must happen to animals all the time. They just get the wrong mushrooms. I mean, some of them know what to avoid, but some don't. This was a baby, so a cub, so it didn't know the wrong mushrooms, and it starts tripping. And you got to ask yourself, is there any weird insight that happens? Like you're an animal and you're laying back there tripping. Does any
They
level
don't
of,
have that part of the brain.
they don't
I
have
think.
abstract thought.
Right.
So they would just think they wouldn't think anything. They would just think that's what the world looks like right now.
Yeah.
But in this movie, they show him on his back, and he's kind of going, he's kind of vegging out.
They don't think.
Yeah.
It's like saying, oh, you're blind, so you only see darkness. It's like, no, I don't see.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
don't
same
see.
thing.
Yeah.
Chickens don't think.
Or like the moment that you die, people
Yeah.
think it would be darkness, but it's not darkness. It's nothing, and
It's
we
like
we
what-
cannot
it's
we
like-
cannot conceive of nothing.
It's like what you were like before you were born. It's
That's
that.
right. You stole that from me.
No.
It's what it was like before you were born. That is the only way to think of it.
You're not
Death.
seeping into my brain and
Death-
making me think that I've come up
I
with my
was
own
in
thoughts.
that was in that little book that I wrote that I never put out.
What that I've read?
No, you read it. You were there. Yes. You and Greg read every chapter that I didn't put out of that book.
I miss our times. Don't you miss those
Yeah,
times?
we were so young. I was only 39.
You were never creepy.
Oh, worried. You know what? Thank you
You're
for
early
saying
in your mid 30s when we met. You're so young.
Yes.
You were so tall.
So hot.
You loved my weird red hair that I only
did.
found out later that you liked.
I did. I'm weird about that.
Mhm.
I don't find now. My sister's a redhead, and that's fine. I'm not saying that redheads aren't
You're like,
attractive.
I can't keep my hands off her.
I'm just saying. Natural red hair is not a turn on for me, but that fake red hair,
yeah,
is. And
I had when I was 20.
Yeah, I don't really understand what that is.
Yeah.
The blue hair thing I find to be ridiculous.
Well, green hair's more. Green hair's the way to go now.
Yeah.
Billie
Yeah.
Eilish set that up
Yeah,
over the weekend.
Yeah, my son, who's in college campus now, he's like he just rolls his eyes like, oh, okay, all right, you don't go with the norm, right? You get blue hair.
Well,
like
when fall
everybody
comes,
else.
when the weather starts to really turn, you'll see my hair turn a little bit more pink.
Oh, why don't you
So I
go
like to put a little pink in my hair.
Yeah, well, let's just go for the full red thing again. Let's go back to the old times.
No.
You know, like in the NFL, they do throwback Sunday with the old uniforms. I think you and Greg needs to go back and put that hemp
the ball bearing
necklace on.
Listen, he
And
probably still has shirts from
Reverse
back
ball
then. He
cap.
never
Yeah.
gets rid of them.
The reverse ball cap. What was that? Was it a Billabong cap? Or I'm not
forget
sure
what he
it was.
wore. Yeah.
Something he stole from PacSun.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, I can't remember
What
my
a
point.
loser, right?
But you know that what's her
I
name?
should talk about it.
Sarah Tiani.
Sarah Tiana.
I can never remember her last name. She was here again
On Friday.
on Friday, and she has had a very successful career as a comedian. We used to say comedian, but I guess that's gone. As a comedian, and she was one of the first interns for the regular guys in Atlanta. And when she was here right after, like a couple of years ago, and I hadn't seen her in a long time. I took the opportunity, and I don't know, somewhere, wherever we keep our video, I don't know where it goes. But we did a video with her because the Me Too movement thing had just taken off. And I was like, I don't recall ever being creepy, but this is a perfect opportunity. I haven't seen you in years.
Mm-hmm.
You were one of the first interns. So I was, 34, 35 when I got here? So we just turned on the thing and asked the question, was I creepy back in the late 90s when you were an intern? And she said, no, you were fantastic. It was never a problem. So I feel good about it.
Don't ask my old intern.
No. Well, most of it was consensual, so it's just okay.
All?
It's just that, no, it was all
Most.
consensual. Some of it was embarrassing to them, and I don't want to put them on the
Oh,
spot.
I don't care about that.
Yeah, that makes it even better.
The politically correct misogynist. As long as everyone knows it was consensual, I don't care how they felt.
Yeah.
I just wonder what direction it's going to go from here. I mean, it's already.
Well, you know these people. These are your people. These are your people who are happy today that a guy lost his job, and 99.9% of them don't know who that person is. And then and then they'll turn around and say, I mean, what did Kamala Harris say? Was it on Kimmel or something last night?
I don't have it open anymore, but basically this was, even if it's not proven yet, we still have to think about it.
Right,
Something
well,
like that.
It doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
About Kavanaugh.
I mean, I
So
guess
you're
that's true.
Wait, whoa. Well, let's just start saying things about Kamala Harris.
Right.
You're going to actually entertain the notion of impeaching somebody on that? There was a time in this country not too long ago where reporters from all political stripes would condemn a statement like that. Well, we don't know that he didn't do it. What kind of standard is that? It's on you, man. You got to prove it. You've got to prove it. No one in this country has to prove they're innocent, except to the IRS. I don't know how that happened. But that ship has sailed. When the IRS comes a calling, it's upon you to prove you're innocent.
Yeah, they know the answer.
Yeah,
They're not
that's
going to tell you.
They don't have to prove that I stole money. I have to prove I didn't. So I don't
No,
know.
can't I just call them at tax time and be like, what is your number?
Yeah.
Can we work with that and then I'll work backwards? Because
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm doing.
What do you think it is? My taxes got pretty simple this year, so
That's good.
I had a job, and
What about your nighttime thing?
What the
Your Piedmont Park thing?
Well, that's under the table.
Okay.
Under the waist.
That's
the
under
table.
the bush.
That's what I say. Under the
It's
waist.
behind the table, under the table.
It's under the waist, under the bush, under the table. The 3 U's.
Is that considered a tip? Is that in the tip category?
When I sell my ass at Piedmont Park, you know what? That's my side hustle.
You don't give it away?
No.
Your back. That's your back hustle.
You seen this ass?
Back hustle.
My back hustle. My butt hustle.
When you selling your ass, that's your back hustle, baby.
I'll tell you something. Well, if I gave it away, then the IRS wouldn't have anything to do with it. Although maybe somebody else would have to declare it as an in-kind gift.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, you know what you could do is you could have some tchotchke or something that you have the person pay for that.
Yeah.
And then you also just happen to
and
do
then
some
I
other
happen
stuff.
to please them.
Just give it up for charity, Eric.
Give it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll do that next year. Yeah. My ass for charity.
Mm-hmm.
Eric's ass for charity.
Well, not until you give me a date first.
Yeah. I got to get that.
Oh, yes. That has to be a Carathon incentive item.
No,
at least
we
at
can't
minimum.
do that. Not at the Carathon. It's too serious.
We'll do a promotion.
We'll do a promotion with it. But
I think Jay's getting warmer and warmer with people. He's doing a good job.
Oh, I'm trying to push him out there. I said, Jay, the other day, I said, let me tell you something that I learned way too late. They're just people. That's the thing. I remember when I was a teenager, to me, girls were just like this mysterious, And then later on, you're like, oh, they're just people. Just talk to them. Say hello. Talk about things people talk about. But that was a different world. Jay lives in a Tinder world. There's no reason. I mean, these days.
Swipe, 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 swipe.
Just haven't found anybody to land on.
Have you seen what's going on?
I just like going through it and looking at the different people on there.
Well, Jay, you don't like it anymore because now with Tinder, if you swipe left 25 times, men have to pay a fee on there now. How about that?
What?
Yeah, if you swipe left too many
because
times
people
as
are
a
just
man,
going left.
Yes.
Well, if you let me filter out fatties, I wouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, left is no.
Left is yes.
Right. Yeah. So
Left
guys are not being
left is
discerning.
yes.
They're
Yes.
casting a wide net. So it doesn't
Right.
matter what the picture is or what it is. They're just going left.
Really? I thought guys
No,
would be very...
right is...
Right
I'm
is-
sorry. I've got it backwards. You're right.
Yeah.
When you swipe
I don't
right,
know.
you're saying yes.
He should know. He's the one who's third.
Left is wrong. Excuse me. I had that backwards.
Okay.
But
So basically, if you say no 25 times in a certain period of time...
if you say
Yes.
yes 25 times, then they make
Why?
men pay
Because
they
listen, Eric, the guys don't care who it is. They
Yeah.
just want to be matched with someone. So instead of being discerning,
Right.
they're just casting this wide net
But
of
how
like I'm
does
saying
that-
yes
Exactly.
to
How does
everyone.
that
So
affect
that
women?
the girl, if they go through, then they'll be matched. Because what if the guy said no to a girl that maybe was going to say yes to him?
Oh, right. Okay.
I don't even know how this
Yeah,
works.
it's
and I know how it
amazing.
works.
So really where this stems from is with Bumble, the dating app.
Bumble.
That's the one
I
where
wait, you just like those you date.
you
I don't-
pollinate each other.
I just think of like bumbling. Like I'm not very well.
what?
Yes. I don't have
I
good-
brought you 17 coffees on this tray.
Yeah, I don't have much hand-eye coordinating.
I got in a car wreck on the way over here.
hey, better than that app that finally died, Grouper. That was the worst dating
Grouper?
app.
What is that? You
Is
date-
it like this?
Grouper was where three
people look
women.
like fish.
Still plenty of fish out there, Jared.
So Grouper,
Grouper.
what the objective was that one was it was group dates. So you didn't know who was going to hook up with who. It'd
Oh
be
my
three
God,
men
I
and
would
three
hate
women.
that.
And sometimes you could
Is
link
the
up with
idea that
with
it's
two
safer?
girlfriends
Is
or
the
three.
idea that it's safer
Yeah.
because everybody's out together, maybe?
Yeah.
But if you meet somebody in a very public place and you're not an idiot,
I got one called Pylon. It's just you and 18 other people in a room.
But the reason why
I heard
Bumble is
most of it's hookup. Am I wrong?
it just depends on what
I hear
no,
that
it depends
it's
on what
just
city
people
you're
just
in.
hooking up.
It depends on what
How
city
many
you're in.
people are actually like, okay, let's
Bumble-
go to a date? And...
Greg has told stories about being in another country and using Tinder, not Tinder, but I don't know, one of these.
Bumble.
And meeting up with someone and
you just go right
No,
at it,
no.
right? You just say they open the door, they drop their clothes, boom.
no, I don't know. I think it was they went somewhere and had a
Oh,
drink,
okay.
and
Well,
that's
that's what I'm saying. Is though my understanding is more of it is just hookup than
Right.
people are
It
letting
depends
on.
on which app you're
More
using.
than dating.
Tinder was becoming that. That's why they initiated that fee because, as Autumn was saying, they were casting too wide a net. Bumble is not as much of a hookup app
Right.
because the women decide if they want to match with the guy or not.
Now on
They
Grindr,
have all
on
the
Grindr, do
Oh,
they just,
Grindr's
do they-
exclusive
Do they just laugh if
There's
you go,
no option
"Let's
to
get
swipe
together"?
left on Grindr.
No, Grindr is
would
more.
imagine if you're like, hey, can we meet and talk for a little bit?
Yeah.
Just laugh. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Right, pal.
Grindr is probably even less of a hookup thing and more of like a prostitution thing. Basically.
Really? How do you
Yeah.
know? Oh, you know this,
Oh,
or
I
you're
know all
just
this.
spreading allegations?
No, I know this is true. A lot of people when they're in town,
Uh-huh.
they'll go on to Grindr and they'll let everyone, let them know that they're
My
available.
butt and I are here.
Because Craigslist
I brought
really
my butt.
Yeah, they've got their back hustle.
Craigslist screwed the
Exactly.
casual dating people because that's what they used it for. People would go to Craigslist and just hook up.
It was just prostitution, right? And then they
well,
were
there
forced to
was
get-
some there, but they
Oh,
got rid of
hookup.
it.
Right, okay.
They got rid of prostitution a long time ago.
That's why
But
they
be-
went to Grindr.
But because of Sosta, which
English Nick is here now. He's got a good butt hustle.
Oh,
do?
yeah. And I will say that I think most of that Craigslist stuff was prostitution,
Yeah.
not just regular hookups.
Well, she says a lot of Grindr is for.
Well, it makes sense because what they do to mask it is they say, "I'm just here looking to be a friend."
Yeah.
And then you
And
see the
people do
messages.
that a lot. People like friends. You know what? I need a friend for the night.
I'm your buddy. I'm your buddy.
I've been wanting to see that new Joker movie. I don't want to go alone.
That's scary, man. I went by myself.
I mean, I've got some friends
It's
that
funny
are.
that you said mask, because mask is something that you'd put on your Grindr profile to say whether you're masculine or not. If you're a
Oh
top.
wow! Well, look at you. What are you like?
How does Alton know so much about this?
Now,
I love gay culture. This
she
is the
does.
history I know about. If this show
Yeah.
had more gay
Yeah.
culture history in it, then I'd be able to help you.
She's
Oh,
immersed
next week,
in it.
all Stonewall.
Now we have you have millennial gay friends, so
Yeah,
probably you know
that
better
are all
than
in that community, and it is amazing when
all my gay friends are old.
yeah, they're off. They're not
Married
in the community.
bitchy queens. Like they got married like the rest of us.
They're
and
all
miserable.
Yeah, they're all miserable.
But they're
Getting
super.
divorces.
But they're
Why
super
did we?
wealthy
Why
though.
did we adopt these stupid kids?
Yeah, that's my gay friends. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Now,
Sorry.
it's fascinating watching how that community works because it seems like the most innocent dating profiles are the ones that get hit up the most. I've got a buddy of mine that lives just a couple blocks from me, and if he turns on his Grindr profile, I mean, it's like message,
Boink,
message,
boink, boink,
message,
boink,
Hang on,
message,
this, Jared,
message,
this is a
message,
friend of you who's masked his Grindr profile?
No, now come on, don't go there.
He
No, I don't like that point of view because I want to know about this.
his
I've
entire
met his
thing
gay
though.
friends. They're very nice.
His entire thing on there.
Alcoholics.
Really?
Big time. This is not the one you're thinking of.
Oh.
Not the one that went to the Braves game with us. This is
Oh.
another friend
Okay.
that has moved into the 10th Street area, and it is unbelievable how many hits he gets on there. And the other thing too is
Well, if you're on
Snapchat is
10th
big.
Street and I mean,
But
where
it's,
else? It's,
but
you know.
Eric, it is even people that are
Whose Grindr is not going off
extremely-
nonstop
yeah.
if you're standing on the rainbow?
Mine.
Okay, even the hottest women that are on Bumble, even the hottest women that are on Bumble do not get hit up like this guy does
because
on
they're
those
men.
Yeah,
Men
because
are
they're
horny.
dudes.
This is what you have to
Unbelievable.
understand. This is what you have to understand. You have to understand. And
There's a lot of
read
casual
this
stuff going on,
years
right?
ago. I think it was in the
He
90s.
has to bring an external charger because his phone dies. I'm just like, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh,
That's
how
like
do you-
phone Viagra.
How do you even do this? He has people hitting him up in different cities to fly out. Like,
Listen,
I mean, it's just
they can you can
unbelievable.
pretend that there's no difference between men and women, but it's ridiculous to think that because
Yep.
I study. I don't know if it was the early 2000s, late 90s. Can't remember when I saw it, but it rung true to me. They went with different kinds of couples and who had the most sex per week. Most sex was gay men, average 3 times a week. Second, married heterosexuals, average 2 times a week. Least, lesbians. Average
Bed death. It's called lesbian bed death.
Wow.
1 time a week.
Let's just
Because
walk the dogs.
women, and I don't care, people can hate me all you want. Women civilize men in that way. They calm men down. And then they get pregnant, and then oh, God, now I can't leave. I love the kid. The whole thing. But when a man's drive meets a man's drive.
Okay, that's a lot of driving.
It's the 4th of July. Every night.
Hey, honey,
And there's
wanna
nothing wrong, that's just the way that it is.
want to have sex tonight? No, we've got a couple new rescues coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to monitor this dog's diabetes.
Women go through phases where they're super sexual, but through much of their lives
to
they're
say
not.
to say that
Men
men
are
are the
just
gas
like-
to say that men are the gas and women are the brakes does not mean that it's always the case.
No, right.
But
there's
over
scale.
the long
typically-
haul, it will work out that way. So it doesn't surprise me. I would actually, it would be funny just to listen. Like you get 10 guys
To
on
what?
Grindr, 10 guys on Grindr,
Listen
and
to
they're
Tim,
open.
guys.
They're open, and you just have them there on that rainbow crosswalk over by 10th and Piedmont.
Yeah, but
and just everybody has to turn their phones up super loud, and just I just want to see what happens with the Grinder app for all the. It's got to be just like ding 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 ding.
When do we stop listening?
Jared, can I ask
whenever you want? You can stick around as long as you want.
Hey.
The bells of Grinder.
what does the guy look like? Does he?
He's
what kind of guy is
he's
he?
in his late 30s.
John Denver or Robert Plant?
I guess.
Sure.
Who?
John Goodman?
No, I mean he's a
Bert
I guess
Kreischer?
a fairly handsome guy. He's he's in his late 30s.
Does he look straight?
No, he
Does he look
looks
straight?
He's I guess cusping on that.
Is he thin?
Yeah. He's on the
It wouldn't take you long to know he was
Does
gay.
he
if you
look
were
like
around.
a man?
Well, when yes, I was
He'd
able
walk
to.
into a conversation and you think in your mind, he's probably gay.
Yes,
Right,
probably, but he's not going to like try to hide it from you. Or
No,
anything like
and
that
I don't mean
slowly.
that. What I mean is only from how he looks, because I feel like a lot of guys who maybe are looking on Grindr and hitting him up that much, maybe they're really into him looking kind of straight, because there's a lot of gay fantasy of like turning the straight guy.
Oh, well,
Oh, yeah.
maybe
is that a gay
yeah.
fantasy or is that your fantasy?
No, I know some gay dudes that are into it.
Autumn's fantasy is she wishes in reincarnation she can come back as a gay black man.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she wants to be a sassy
Black man or black drag queen?
No, just black man.
Oh, okay.
Either,
So
I'll
she can be
take
sassy.
either one.
He'll dress up now and again.
I mean, I'll come back. I mean, I'll take black woman,
Yeah.
but I think I'd want black gay man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
for
your
sure.
favorite set. Like if you could sit in any room and just talk for hours, that's the room you want to be in.
Because there's a openness to being extra.
Yeah.
And like
see, that
when
annoys
you know,
me.
like you remember what is the comedy show
I like
with
my
all
gay
the
men silent.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Def Comedy Jam?
Yes, with the like
Yeah, no,
going crazy and
Showtime
laughing.
at the Apollo.
The foulest
Yes.
women in
Yes.
history doing comedy.
Yeah. Listen, no,
it's that,
exactly
but
can I
also
tell you-
taken to like restaurants, to street, to
what you
to
like
everything.
is what annoys me. My wife has a really good friend down in Florida, and I have no reason to not believe he's a great person. He's never done anything, but he's so histrionic. You know, every time he's around, that it just like I don't like people who are just like loud and out there, and and it's exactly what attracts you.
But see,
It's
that's
like
the
I was
thing.
like,
So,
oh, I got nothing against this guy, but everything
Right.
is over the
Too
top.
much.
the problem.
Yeah.
So the issue is that I am not like that, because I also have a part of the computer in my brain, the program that's running, of being considerate, and so I don't want to
Right.
bother someone with my antics
Right,
or whatever.
right.
But when I see someone acting like that, I'm excited for them that they don't have that program running, and so even though I might not like it, because I think it might be bothering someone, but I enjoy that they're able to do that.
I like
and they
people.
feel
I
open
would
to do
say,
that.
no matter what the sexuality is, I tend to like people who enjoy blending in a little bit.
Yeah, being a
You
part,
know,
of
just
part
kinda
of
come
furniture
in,
a little bit.
Come
No,
in and
see-
then find your spot. You know,
No, that works
then,
well.
you know,
That works well in the world.
Yeah.
But what do you like? I like someone who's like wild, crazy, and that's what this drag queen thing is all about for me. I think.
Yeah.
You know,
You're
they're
still
they're,
into it, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm wearing
thought
the
it was
Trixie
gonna be
Mattel
I
shirt that I
know.
made myself.
Oh my goodness. There's something wrong.
Oh,
with it.
there. Oh,
You want some effing salt?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I-
See, I photoshopped the Trixie's face into there.
By the
Her
way,
face looks a bit dodgy in that.
yeah, by the way,
I made him myself.
by the way, I'm sure they get to say things that this guy on Saturday Night Live.
They can do whatever they want.
absolutely.
They can
say
do whatever they
anything they want.
Oh, for sure.
I guess because it's the oppressed class gets to do anything they want.
They can
You
do
should watch-
ketamine with a little boy.
The
Put that
oppressor.
on YouTube.
No, that's don't
Well,
include that into everyone.
See,
Tim.
now you're gonna make her get defensive.
Tim has a limited experience with that kind of thing, and he's decided that this
Don't
is
say,
the
hey,
way everyone
one bad
is.
apple.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't spoil
Let's
the whole
go to
bunch, boy, girl.
a public library and scare the hell out of all these kids.
Oh, it didn't scare the kids at all.
No one's scared of that.
No one's hit that. Now that's wrong. Now you could say as an adult, I don't want my kid at 5 years old being told what sexuality even is. You could say that, but it isn't scaring the kids. Kids are. It's like
They're
it's
drawn to
colorful and
them.
it's
They're
not-
so they're
it's not
colorful. They're
scaring
friendly.
them. Now I can understand as an adult. Do I want my 5-year-old to get a comedy / lecture on trans politics.
Here's
no.
why it's imperative.
I probably
No,
don't.
they don't do that.
No, but you want your kid to be exposed to as many kind of people as you can, I think.
Well, over time.
Yeah.
Well, they'll eventually discover the
I'm not
Bowery.
saying there should be a lecture, but there's no harm in the kid hanging out with somebody like that.
When
if
you're a
it's all-
kid,
yeah.
as long as you're not being lectured to, you don't even notice stuff like that.
right.
But I don't think for a minute that drag queen doesn't in her mind have some idea of political change that they're
Sure.
about. And then, they're now going to libraries. But as an adult, you can decide whether or not you want to expose your 5-year-old to that. But I don't think that's scaring the kids.
All
They're not
clowns are
running
scary.
away. Well,
that's different.
That's true.
So,
I hated clowns.
So at first,
Still
things
do.
like that will be confusing. It doesn't make sense. I have difficulty understanding it. The next step in maybe generationally, right, will be, oh, I have friends that are this. I have friends that are that. I have, and you'll be putting them in these categories. And then the next step, the next generation might be, whatever, I just have a lot of friends, and you don't categorize things. And I think that's where we are as in our society.
Yeah, but I was never told.
Can I say
was
something
never
really quick?
told not to like drag queens or
either.
trans people.
No, I'm not saying
or
that because it is
anything.
different for how you grew up, and so it doesn't. It's not plug. You don't have the universal adapter for it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that hard. Now, some people may be raised in such an environment where they're told these things are bad, and you got to get over that. But I mean, I was raised in kind of a neutral environment.
I'm not saying it's anything against you or that you're closed-minded. It's just a newer concept.
But it's no fun if it's not weird. I mean, it's no fun if a man dressing up as a woman and singing honky-tonk songs, if that's not kind of weird, it's not fun.
Yeah,
if it's like just, the mailman walking down the street. It's
Yeah,
no,
that's true, because
that's one
there's
normal is the new counterculture.
Because we're not talking about trans, we're talking about drag queens. Those are two different things.
Yeah, see, now you got to memorize all these different rules.
See, okay.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I got to be honest with you. I think the thing with trans people should be live and let live. But I mean, I really do. And I'll be honest. You can think and because if you don't walk step by step orthodox with the trans culture, you're some kind of evil Hitler. I just think that it's too much. It's too much. The likelihood of even running into a trans person in your lifetime is very very small. All you have to do is be raised to be kind to people,
right?
And to not and you're gonna be fine. But the idea that you have to be immersed in their politics and what you should believe.
No, you don't though. That's the social media thing. That's the people who are living their lives as trans people aren't necessarily politicized or are creating a political thing for themselves. They might just be trying to just live their lives.
Yeah, but there's all I've come into contact with some before where they can be over judgmental.
Of course.
And they automatically want you to.
But don't you think that's anybody?
But again, this is another overreaching step.
Fine.
Rather than this always happens. There's an oppressor, and then there's the oppressed, and then the oppressed through movements and whatever gain ground. But it always turns out that then the movement turns to it turns out that we're not only lesser than. We're actually better. And we are, and it always happens that way. People are never settled for just equality.
When did
it's always like, well, now we've got to start, and now no straight
time for
actor.
women to take the
it's
wheel.
time for women to take over, and now we're going to put a woman on the moon. I don't care. Find the most talented astronaut and put them on the moon. Their genitalia means nothing to me when they're on the moon. I'm sorry.
Send Brad Pitt up there.
And then
he's a woman.
Just a second. You have people like Martina Navratilova, who's never been anything but an ally for the left.
Yeah.
Or at least socially.
She says one thing
that
she's ostracized.
Yeah, men dressed as women should not be able to play women's tennis.
Well, you don't say women dressed as women. It's when you transition. It's not fair. And Dave Chappelle makes this point in his thing. If it were true that there's no difference, then if LeBron James changed to a woman, you're going to make him go into the WNBA. He's going to score 800 points a night.
Right.
So, I mean, the thing is, it's more about live and let live. I wish people understood this.
Yeah.
You don't have
Acceptance,
to
not
say
tolerance.
we have to say that we're the same.
No.
We're not the same. Women and men are not the same. And it's okay to feel like a woman inside of a man's body or a man inside of a woman's body or whatever. I don't know that puts you in a new class. It just means that we all have a face, and we all decide what we're going to project to the world, and we all keep a little bit for ourselves.
Yep.
And everybody's story is different, and what's going on inside of people's minds is different, and all of that is legitimate. I don't think we have to say, though, well, at 9, hey, he likes Barbies. Let's buy him a dress. It just just don't care if he's playing with Barbies, or just don't care and let them develop into themselves. It's fine. But everybody becomes a new political movement, and then it gets annoying, and then you start reacting to the politics, but you're treated as if you're reacting to the person, which you're not.
In fact, you're more likely to push people away who might come around to your way of thinking.
Politics pushes people away. We used to say, don't bring up politics or religion at a party.
Or
now it's
sports.
the first thing people go for. No,
Not
sports.
all the time.
Sports is good.
Oh, it can be ugly.
Well, I'm not from soccer land.
No, I'm talking
You
about
guys pee
NFL
on
in a
each other.
public environment when, an Eagles fan gets on stage at Meddlesome and decides, hey, Atlanta, what about 28-3? I'm like, no, you're in our house. Save that for the game tomorrow night, my friend.
Oh, you stepped up,
Oh,
huh?
I stepped up. Shut this guy right down.
I'm going to call him Atlanta Nick.
That's right.
All right, we're done. We're going to go away for a little while. That's the way it works. I go lay down in the box in my basement, think of things for a few hours, and come back, do it again tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheerio. Toodles. Toodle pip.
It's another beautiful day in Atlanta today, so I think you should all get out there and get some sunshine. This is Roy from Marietta, Georgia.